Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the April 15th, 2025 meeting of the Candiota County Board of Commissioners. Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you to everyone who's following us on YouTube and those of you who are in person today. We have a lengthy agenda, so we're going to get started. The first item of business is the consideration of the consent agenda, which today includes the approval of the April 1st, 2025 County Board legal minutes, approval of the auditor's warrants and claims, approval of the human services warrants and claims, and two safety grants, 2025 Minnesota DNR Boat and Water Safety Grant and the 2025 Federal Boat and Water Safety Grant. Are there any of these items on the consent agenda commissioners wish to pull? If not, then I would take a motion to approve the consent agenda in its entirety.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Dwayne Anderson moves and Commissioner Emdek seconds. Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Then we would look for a motion to approve the agenda. The only other thing is that we're going to schedule in one other small break between the Planning Commission and the Resolution 2025-12 in order to allow Austin a couple of minutes to get set up, and that'll be a good spot for a break for those of us of a certain age anyway.
Mr. Chair, I received notice late last week that a long-awaited appointment was available to me that I felt I had to accept. So at 12:30 today, I need to leave. So I am going to ask that we amend the agenda by removing the report about immunization and the public drainage report so that we can move up the work session and continue on that.
So just to clarify, I think I heard you say that you want to remove the 1035 item?
Yeah, and
And
I would
the-
ask the indulgence of both the board and the staffers, and hopefully the administrator can get notice to the people below that they should come in a little bit earlier if this amendment is approved.
So the 1035 and the 1140, you're suggesting that we remove from the agenda.
Correct.
Administrator Baker, any comment or guidance?
Would it be possible, Commissioner Emdike, to move the work session just about, right after planning and zoning to start that at 11:30?
Yeah, if we, I mean.
And then we can move Austin after the work session? I just worry for the immunization update, the staff have something prepared. And it's,
But it's not dated material though, is it?
well, we do have an event that we want to get the word out for. So that would be the only thing if you would be open to.
No, I'm perfectly fine with that. The only question is that we would then recess instead of adjourn, right?
Right.
Correct.
Yep,
No, I'm fine with that. Was our work session scheduled for an hour? About any?
about an hour, yeah,
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
All right.
if that's okay.
Is that going to work for everybody else on the board? Okay, hearing no objection, then your motion, how about we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
And so just so I understand, if I may, we will move the work session up to 11:30, keep everything as is up till that point. Move the work session to 11:30, and then I'll let Austin know that he will be after that. So he'll be around 12:30, correct?
What about the immunization update?
We'll leave that.
That'll be left in there.
Yep. Am I understanding that to let him know? Okay.
Mr. Chair, I so move the agenda as recently discussed and stated.
And the chair will second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. First order of business, Resolution 2025-9, Row Prairie Potholes Wildlife Management Area. Corey Netland is in attendance today. Corey, step up and let us know who you are and who you represent, and go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Corey Netland. I am Area Wildlife Supervisor for the Minnesota DNR, so primarily one of the major duties is management of the state wildlife management areas across the county, nuisance animals, other, wildlife diseases, other things like that. But what brings me here today is the potential acquisition of a parcel to add to the Row Prairie Potholes WMA. Understand you have a full agenda. I think this is pretty straightforward, so we'll just get right to it, I guess, and maybe we can save some time here too. So a letter was sent out on February 27th. I don't want to belabor that too much. The main thing that I would point out about that is that there are reasons beyond hunting that people value in state wildlife management areas, and there are benefits there that are not often easy to quantify, but they exist nonetheless. So things like groundwater recharge, carbon sequestration, soil erosion control. So there's a list of 11 bullet items there. And then the other item on that would be on the second page. Right at the end here, I talk about the payment in lieu of taxes. And this is something that if you've heard me here before, I always try to get these numbers and be clear of what the current property taxes are and what the county can expect going forward. So in 2024, the current landowner on Row Prairie Potholes paid $772 in taxes on that parcel. The anticipated payment in lieu of taxes would be $1,665. So we're looking at more than double the amount there. So I know that's a question that always comes up. Thought I'd bring it up right away.
Mr. Chair? Can you?
Commissioner?
Thank you. Can you give us, for purpose of sort of an orientation, is there a larger map that shows where this is at?
There is, yeah. I've got, let's see here. I'll just clear this space here. I don't know which way to orient this, but facing me or facing you? What works best
Facing
here?
you.
Okay.
Okay, hold on, let me.
All right, so to orient you, up is north, to the right is east, and where we're looking at here, it'd be 1 mile west of Ridgewater College. So there's the road that goes right by the Ridgewater entrance and everything. If you take that straight west for 1 mile, you hit a T right here. So we're 1 mile west of town, basically, and the apartments and such were built down this way. So we're not very far out of town here. We're right on the doorstep of Wilmer. Wilmer being a town of over 21,000 people, they want to get out and recreate. And this is a great opportunity here, and it's turning into quite a large habitat complex, and it does get a lot of use. So it initially started with Tract 1 down here in the south near Highway 12 and the railroad. That's Row Prairie Potholes. Over on to the west here is a unit that we call Gopher Ridge WMA. So they're really one habitat complex, but we have two different names on the wildlife areas. And the parcel between here is one that Pheasants Forever has purchased that will be added to the wildlife area. So what we're looking to do is further expand that complex and add the area in red here. So that's the subject parcel that we're talking about today. 92.4 acres is the total amount. And it's currently into an easement. It's a Reinvest in Minnesota easement. This was Minnesota River Crep acres, so they get the CRP plus the RIM easement payment, The CRP payments have long since ceased, I think maybe 5 years ago. So they went on for 15 years, starting in roughly 2000. So it's been, 5 to 10 years at least, I guess, because some of those tail end ones were signed up in 2003 or 4. So, and then that easement payment was up front too. So there's basically no income potential there other than what the landowner currently does is enrolls it into walk-in access programs. So they get a small amount per acre to open that up to the public. So the public does have the right to hunt it, but that's not permanent. It's on a year-to-year basis. So what I'm looking for here is to add this to the wildlife management area in order to guarantee that right for the public to access it and use it, and also to give us the right to manage it, because we've got a lot of trees that are growing on this, and we want to maintain good grassland nesting cover. So getting a handle on those trees, and then also some of the wetland restoration features are degrading at this point. We've had muskrats that are tunneling through there, and that'll create a conduit for water to leave, which we'd rather not see. We want to maintain those wetlands and the elevation of them. Have number of grant funding options to pursue those management activities. And then it also makes things easier for me in terms of managing the existing wildlife area, because we utilize prescribed burning. And if we include that portion in with it, makes it easier and safer for my crew. And we also get the added habitat benefits on that parcel with the prescribed burning. So we're not looking at retiring any cropland here. It's already into a conservation easement. So in that respect, I think it's fairly straightforward that I'm looking for the right for the public to use it and for us to manage it. And due to the funding source, we do need a resolution of support for this. We are utilizing RIM match dollars. That would be money generated from the license plate sales. And DNR is purchasing it directly. There's no partner involved like Pheasants Forever, Ducks Unlimited are often involved in these. This is a DNR direct purchase, so.
All right, thank you for that, Corey. Any questions for Corey? Commissioner Burke?
Just a question. That says this is Rao Prairie Potholes property, correct?
That's correct, yep.
And is that Irvral?
It was at one
There
time.
was
owned by-
at one time. I thought so.
Correct,
And I just want to kind of give a shout out, and knowing the family as well, that they'd be very pleased to see, because they're very conscientious over the many, many years going way back.
Right.
About the environment and this kind of thing, so.
This has been a fun area to work on over the years, because when I used to drive to Wilmer as a child, none of this was here. There was no habitat, and now it's going to be, I believe it's 467 acres if this is approved, that would be right on the doorstep of Wilmer and gets utilized a lot. Good pheasant populations, deer, turkeys have showed up on the scene in this area. And then waterfowl hunting is outstanding in particular in the two large wetland basins here. Blue-winged teal and, well, all the usual suspects, really, so.
Well, good, I'm glad to follow up, to see that. I've hunted there as well myself, and some pretty long grasses there to walk, though.
Yeah, and I hope to get to a prescribed burn of this south unit, and we did draw a line where we got a private lands agreement from the landowners, but to make things easier here, instead of having all these corners and boundaries, we are making it more straight. Straight lines are most helpful when it comes to maintaining the fire line, and got to have the right wind direction. We are not putting smoke over Highway 12, so we need a southerly wind flow. But
Commissioner Dwayne Anderson.
So my question would be, just for clarity for me, you said that 92 acres paid 772,
correct.
and then now it'll pay 1665?
Yes, that's the projected, I'm careful to say that, it's projected
Yeah.
to be that. Should be very, very close.
Okay.
I don't know, it's based on, what is it, 0.75% of the purchase price. So we have an appraisal, we know what we're gonna pay, it really should be that amount. And then that goes on for, I believe, a period of 5 years. And then I believe the county may reassess the value of that, and that would change, most likely, being it's into a permanent protection that way and can't be developed or farmed, it would most likely go down. But starting out, that's where it would be.
And then it's in Wilmer Township, correct?
That is Wilmer Township. The line is right on this township road here between St. John's and Wilmer. Yep.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Corey? Then we would entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2025-9.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2025-9.
I'll second
Mr.
it,
Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion? You just mentioned turkeys, Corey, and I don't know that they're very particular about habitat because we've had them in our end of town over the last year or so.
They can be a nuisance. I know in the metro area, it's a bigger deal. I don't have many nuisance turkeys around here. There's no wood here to knock on, but anyway.
There we go.
That season kicks off on Wednesday, so hunting season around the corner.
Well, there we go. Maybe we can coax them out of the city limits. All right. We have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2025-9. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Corey, you have a second resolution, 2025-10. Please proceed.
I do, and it's a lot of similarities here. Again, this is a parcel that is under a conservation easement. So it's a different style. This is the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, has a grassland easement on this parcel. I'll get a map up here, and maybe the better one is a wider landscape view here. I have several. This is, let me see if, well, that's, I mean, I'll jump to a different one right after this, but the point I want to make with this larger map here is that we have a lot of conservation lands in the vicinity here, and just to orient you, we're looking at Sunberg up here in the corner, and what I've always called the church woods. There used to be a church here, still a cemetery, but the woods and Golden Pond right by Sunberg, so it's off to the southeast, a little over a mile. And we have existing wildlife areas, existing parts of Cabin Rock, WMA, 60 acres on the southeast and 120 to the west. And then the other lands on here are other conservation lands. So these are all into, these solid blocks are all perpetual conservation easements. So Minnesota River Crep, that's under a RIM easement. There was some road bank, wetland mitigation type easement. RIM WRP, that's Wetland Reserve Program, so wetlands restored and permanent easement there. But point is there's a good habitat complex around here, and then even the stuff that's not protected permanently, I can't imagine these trees are going anywhere or anything like that. So, but to zoom in a little bit more on the parcel itself, I'll put this one up, I guess. So the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service did take out that grassland easement, did cost share to reestablish the grasses, and then also restored several wetland basins within there. So the habitat is there, but the landowner retained the right to hay this parcel and continues to do so every year. And that's their right, but what I was looking at is that the habitat value of this is not as great as it could be, because we're losing all of that winter habitat. There's some nesting habitat in the springtime, but then the habitat goes away every summer, midsummer. So from my perspective, I was looking at trying to maintain that cover through the winter. We already have that developing habitat complex there. And so again, it's purchasing the right for the public to use this property and also for us to manage it. And I would probably utilize prescribed fire, and potentially grazing is another option as well, which is highly supported by our folks in St. Paul. Logistically, it's a challenge for me, a lot of paperwork that way, but we are diving into that a little bit more. But yeah, so again, it can't be developed or farmed, but we just want to purchase basically those rights. So then we are getting that, just to be clear, we're getting that at a discount. We're not paying as if this is cropland because it's under an easement and it's appraised as such. As far as the payment in lieu of taxes on this one, we had I think this is roughly 3 times as, yeah, so we, you know, well, we don't need to show that. The taxes in 2024 were $415.02. And the projected annual PILT payment, or payment in lieu of taxes, would be $1,320. So we're looking at more than 3 times as much on that parcel.
All right, anything else?
Yeah, I think that does it.
All right, very good. Any questions for Mr. Netland? No? All right, then I would entertain a motion for approval of Resolution 2025-10.
Mr. Chair, also move.
Commissioner Dale Anderson moves. Is there a second?
I'll
Chair will
second that, Ms.
Commissioner Emdeck will second. Thank you. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor of approval of Resolution 2025-10 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much. Corey, thank you. And this is, I think, a good process and good use of this land in stewardship for future generations. And
Yeah.
appreciate all the partnerships that we have with the DNR.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Just to say, I don't believe that this will be an ongoing trend to purchase existing conservation easements. These just happen to align very well with strategic land asset management. To have that larger complex, it's always a possibility, but it's also a tough sell for me when it's already perpetually protected. So we need to have a very compelling reason to pursue those parcels, and in these cases, we did. So,
Completely understandable. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Oh, okay.
Well, you do.
Yep, we're going to take just a moment, and we're going to move 2 items around since we have one presenter that is not quite in the building yet.
Somebody isn't here.
Is that door locked?
Might be.
Is that door locked?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I just don't want to interrupt.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me now?
Yep. So we're going to move up the, this next item, the 945 item, Candioi County Digital Opportunity Plan. And with us today is Michelle Moratsky, the Business Development Manager for Candioi County Economic Development. And Michelle, thank you for jumping in.
Thank you, Chair Gardner and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. As Chair Gardner mentioned, my name is Michelle Moratsky. I am currently serving as the interim executive director. Our new director starts tomorrow, and ongoing business development manager for Candioi County Economic Development. Candioi County has a long-standing broadband and advanced technology committee active for over 20 years. In recent years, Candioi County has invested more than $6 million in broadband infrastructure, expanding access to over 2,600 previously unserved or underserved locations, making a clear and lasting impact. Today, I am here requesting a $2,000 contribution from the county to support the creation of a digital opportunity plan specific for Candioi County. This plan will build on Minnesota's statewide model and continue our local work in digital equity, informed by the county's 2023 Digital Equity Committee. Digital equity simply means that all individuals and communities have the information, technology, capacity, and knowledge of how the internet can serve them, needed for full participation in our society, democracy, and economy. The project will be funded entirely through local cash and in-kind commitments, with additional support from the University of Minnesota's Regional Sustainable Development Partnership, or RSDP. If the RSDP application is approved, a graduate research assistant, GRA, will lead the work during the 2025 and 2026 academic year, dedicating about 10 hours per week to this project. You may notice that the original timeline listed spring of 2025. After consulting with RSDP yesterday, we adjusted the schedule to better fit the project needs. This change also increases the total project budget slightly from $26,800 to $27,600. While RSDP projects don't require cash contributions, having them strengthens the application and helps stretch RSDP resources across more communities in Minnesota. The GRA will focus on 3 key areas. Number 1 is assessing infrastructure needs to meet the state's 2026 broadband speed goals, 100 megabits down and 20 megabits per second up and down. Number 2 is identifying digital literacy gaps through community surveys, forums, and one-on-one outreach. And third, to develop a clear roadmap with funding strategies and potential partnerships to address those needs. Confirmed cash partners include the Southwest Initiative Foundation, Economic Development Association of Minnesota, and KCED. We've also requested support from the City of Willmar and are exploring other local funding options. In-kind contributions already secured from partners such as CLUES, United Community Action Partnership, Willmar Public Library, the Mid-Minnesota Development Commission, and the Minnesota Office of Broadband Development. We know the county still has areas without reliable service. I often hear the question, when will I finally get dependable internet at my rural home? This plan will help us answer that and more by clearly identifying where gaps exist and how to close them. Thank you for this request, and I'll take any questions you may have.
And so, Michelle, just when we talk about digital opportunity, one of the things is that maybe folks even have access to the broadband, but they don't necessarily know even, they maybe aren't computer literate or they need some other assistance. Can you talk about that just briefly?
Absolutely. Digital literacy is certainly a concern that we have. Just because someone has access to the internet, let's say they've got a brand new fiber line to their farm place, but they've lived there for their entire life of 80 years, they may not have a device. They may not know what device to get. And when they get that, whatever device it is, they may not even know how to turn it on or how to log on to MyChart. Or what about fraud? AI, artificial intelligence, and fraud, and all of the things. This plan can help us identify those pockets as well and what steps we can take to make sure people have access that they need. Or people that are homebound and they want to talk with their loved ones over, heaven forbid we have another pandemic, right? And we're all home again. Not everyone did have access to the knowledge of using those things.
Sure. And I know that you have done some previous work in terms of that fraud area as well, that you identified as an issue.
Yes, absolutely. When I was with Mid-Minnesota Development Commission, I actually developed and delivered a fraud awareness training program for individuals, but also for the general business community. So social workers came to this training, people from retail businesses came, and we talked about ways that they could see fraud happening and how they could approach people in a respectable and dignified manner to keep them safe.
And our senior population is especially vulnerable to this right now.
Absolutely. One of the stories I had was a gal who talked about a young man at a grocery store. He was a bagging person, and he happened to notice this elderly lady coming in every day. And this is in one of MMDC's 4 counties. And this elderly lady came in every single day for about 2 weeks, and she went to the cash machine and left every day. He finally approached her and said, "Hey, is everything okay?" And found out in a short conversation she was being taken, coming and getting $300 every day and sending it to a fraudster. So he said, "Hey, let's talk about this." And that kind of helped, it gave me a lot of hope for our future and people caring about each other. But it really highlighted the need that this happens every day.
And so the request is for $2,000 from the county to be able
Correct.
to contribute to this project.
Exactly.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Are there any questions? Commissioner Emdek?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and the Broadband Committee did recommend moving this forward, but before I let you go, or before I give up the floor, did I misunderstand, or did you say KCED is also a contributor on here? I'm not seeing them on the list.
Yes, we are, and that should be. If it's not, I apologize. So one of the reasons that this is coming to the forefront of work to do is that KCD was awarded a $2,000 grant, and yes, you're right, I apologize, I'll make sure that gets added on the final application. We were awarded a $2,000 grant from the Economic Development Association of Minnesota for an intern, and the requirement is that we match that with $2,000. So we have that within our current budget to cover that cost as well. And it's a paid internship through EDM, they require that. And then I've already gotten their approval for the GRA to fall under that category.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I would move this recommendation from the Broadband Committee for the $2,000 grant.
There's a motion to approve the request. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Dale Anderson seconds. Any discussion?
That was Dwayne Anderson.
Dwayne.
Get the right Anderson. You said Dale.
Oh, Dwayne, the other brother. All right, Commissioner Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question about the budget, that approximately $2,700 or $27,000. Most of that will be going towards the salary of the graduate research assistant, correct?
Yes, it goes to pay them a salary or wage for the hours that they work on the
Is
project.
it more than one then? Or will just be
No.
one person that will be 10
That's-
hours a week for the remainder of the year, right?
What we would be looking for is someone who could stay with us for the fall and the spring semesters of 2026.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is, as I mentioned, just an adjustment on the timeline based on my conversation with RSTP staff yesterday.
Okay.
And it'd be great to have the same person that can just stay with the whole project, start to finish.
Good plan. Thank you.
All right, you've heard the request, and we have a motion and a second for approval of $2,000 towards the Digital Opportunity Plan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Michelle, thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, and we will then move on next to Minnesota DNR and Candido County Agreement Term Amendment. Colin Wright, Area 4A Supervisor. Colin, good morning.
Good morning.
And just introduce yourself for the record, even though I just told everybody who you are.
Sure, absolutely, yep. So I'm Colin Wright. I'm the Area 4A Parks and Trails Supervisor for the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. I work out of the Spicer office. And I have two things for you today. The first and foremost is the state of Minnesota, DNR, has an agreement with Candy, Ojai County. I don't know, has everyone seen this? Hopefully you got an email about it. Otherwise, I have one copy.
It's in our packet.
Great. We have an agreement dating back to November 2003 for the cooperative management of what we call the County Park 5 Public Water Access Site in Green Lake. It's the northeast side of the lake. The reason why we have a cooperative agreement is because one half of that access is technically owned by Candy, Ojai County. The other half is owned by the state of Minnesota. We developed the access back in 2003 to 2005, and this agreement allows us to cooperatively manage the operations there. I believe the county still does kind of the day-to-day maintenance. We developed the site, we're planning to redevelop the site, and we do any repairs needed. What brings us here today is that agreement it's technically in a renewal status, so there's language in the agreement that says that it was for 20 years. After the 20 years is up, it automatically renews for 5 years until we officially renew it. So I have the amendment to the initial agreement, which is this right here. Hopefully you've seen it. And basically the amendment concerns this revision to clause 5 for the term. That's extending it to 50 years from 20 years. So it's just allowing us to continue that partnership. One of the reasons why we would want to renew the agreement or make sure that the county is still supportive of renewing the agreement is, like mentioned earlier, we're planning for redevelopment for the County Park 5 public water access site. It's probably going to cost between $450,000 and $500,000. So a little bit of an investment for us for public water access redevelopment. We just want to make sure that we're all on board here before moving forward.
Mr. Chair, I would move on the DNR request for extension. Does it say how many years? Another 25?
It's 30, so that brings it to 50 years from 2003 initially.
25 plus the 5 years
Yep,
of grace.
yep, yep.
I'd move on the request from the DNR.
Thank you. Commissioner Emdek moves. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Berg seconds. Any questions for Corey? Colin, I'm sorry.
That's
Corey was
okay.
here earlier.
Can I just make a comment?
You may.
When I received the email from Colin, I thought, I wonder if the whole board even knows about this, and so that's why I think it was a good idea to bring Colin to the board and put the document in the board packet so the commissioners are aware that this agreement does exist. So that's all I wanted to.
Oh, I
I saw your hand, so.
I recognize several of the names on the original agreement. Yes, and a good agreement, and we appreciate what the state's doing.
And I appreciate that you asked about this and determined that we should bring this to the board, because I certainly wasn't aware of that. And so my only question would be, you're going to redevelop this year, but folks over at the county park and the general public will still be able to launch their boats from there during the process, yes?
Probably not, actually. So construction's planned for, we're anticipating construction sometime in August to start. So
Oh, okay.
my biggest push was, if we have to block it off, we should avoid,
Peak season.
at least one or two of the three main, fishing opener, 4th of July weekend, or, kind of Labor Day weekend. And so I think, we're thinking later in the year might have the least amount of impact. Just so you know, Rush Brown Public Water Access, which is the other access on the north side of the lake, is going to be under reconstruction at the same time. So acknowledging that there might be a little bit of a tricky time period there where both sites are going to be under construction, but it's got to get worse before it gets better, I guess. That's just how we have to time things.
Well, we certainly appreciate the investment in the public water access, especially on that crown jewel of ours over at Green Lake, so.
Okay.
Commissioner
So-
Wayne Anderson.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chair. So when you start, how long are you hoping what's the window for doing the construction? Is it a month? Is it?
That's a good question, and I think the timeline that we have now, probably sometime between that 1 to 2 months, pretty vague, but, weather's gonna play a factor, contractor availability is gonna be a factor. This project's supposed to go out for bid here in this spring yet, so we should know more maybe early summer or late spring, and I can update the county too on some things as well, if Kelsey's the best contact, or maybe we could communicate with that, but still a little bit unknown at this point until we get some details hammered down.
Okay. All right, well, I'm just asking, so when we get calls, we probably will on this one.
Yeah, you bet.
And so, to give them an answer that, so they know.
Yeah, right, and if you can answer it, great, otherwise, if you don't feel like answering it, you can sure send them my way as well.
Sounds fair enough. Any
Remember
further
that.
questions? All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the agreement term amendment with the Minnesota DNR. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much, Colin, and appreciate the efforts.
Thank you. Just one quick mention to the second part here. Part of the agreement too is the county, please look over the plans too if you haven't already. If you have any questions, let me know. But that's part of our agreement too, that, we both look over the plans. But this is what we're planning on at this time.
Outstanding. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you.
And I think we have a break scheduled in here, but we're slightly ahead of schedule. So if we don't mind, I'd like to move to the 1010 item, and that is for Resolution 2025-11, authorizing execution of sub-grant agreement. Ace Bonema, Emergency Management Director. Ace, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I'm Ace Bonema, the Emergency Management Director for Kansas County. I brought our Emergency Management Specialist, John Gilbertson, along in case there's hard questions. We're here today seeking the approval of Resolution 2025-11, which will authorize us to execute a sub-grant with the state of Minnesota dealing with our hazardous mitigation plan. We are required to update our hazardous mitigation plan every 4 years. FEMA covers 75% of the costs. We cover 25%. Our 25 takes into account our staff time, so our contribution is covered by the time that we spend on the project. There's no budget cost to the county, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
All right, are there any questions of the board in regard to this request? Commissioner Imden?
Not a question, but a compliment and off topic just a little bit. I read an article recently about the radar gaps and, you know, the work that you've done on behalf of that. We appreciate that.
Thank you. We didn't get the result yet, but we're going to keep pushing.
Still working
and-
on it.
yeah.
Good job.
All right, any further questions? There's no budget impact to Candido County?
Just the
This will
time that we
just,
spend on it, yes.
Just allow you to move forward with advancing and updating this plan.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to,
Commissioner
if
Anderson.
nobody else has any comments, I'd like to make a motion to pass Resolution 2025-11.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and second for approval of Resolution 2025-11. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, and knowing that we have a full agenda today with the board's approval, I'd like to move the 1110 item up, the bid award for state aid project. And with us today is Jeremy Pfeiffer, our Assistant County Engineer. Jeremy, good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Yes, as you said, my name is Jeremy Pfeiffer. I'm the Assistant Engineer at the County Public Works Department. What I am here today for is to recommend a bid award that we opened bids last Tuesday for the project for Candido Township. It's part of the Road in lieu of Bridge project, where if you remember, a timber bridge was removed east of Wilmer in Candido Township, and a grading job of about 3/4 of a mile is going to occur north of where the bridge site is. I believe that map is probably in your packet, showing the location of that site. We opened those bids, like I said, last Tuesday. There were 8 bidders on this contract, with R&G Construction of Marshall, Minnesota being the low bidder at the $646,800.63. The estimate for the project was over $1 million. It was $1,249,851. So there was quite a difference between the engineer's estimate and the bids that came in. We did review the bids, and all the bids look to be in line with each other. Our reasoning, or I guess our guess for the consultant's engineer's estimate cost was we were looking at, it's a smaller grading job, so it's less than a mile. It's a little later in the year, so we were thinking maybe there'd be some smaller contractors that were bidding, might not have, the large equipment or all the trucking needed to get the job done, in a quick timeline. That wasn't the case. We did get some larger guys bidding, so it reflects our dirt numbers, and our gravel numbers came back down to where they normally are and not where the estimate was at. So that is what our reasoning is for the engineer's estimate and the low bid being, quite a difference there. The contract here was budgeted for in the County Public Works construction program, and the anticipated funding sources from the Town Bridge account. So we're gonna be using a couple different sources. There'll be the Town Bridge account and then the Special Town Bridge that'll be used for the funding of this project here. Are there any questions regarding the bids or the project itself?
Are there any questions for Mr. Pfeiffer?
I have one.
Commissioner Anderson?
Okay, so just to be clear, the township's gonna take care of this, right? Or do we,
Correct. You mean when
the cost of it is,
the cost is coming through the town bridge account, so
Yeah.
it would be the state aid.
what's
town-
left is the township's responsibility?
Yeah, and there will be, that's covering 100% of the funding for that
Oh,
road.
okay,
Yep. So the township won't have any,
no obligation.
no obligation.
Okay,
towards
well,
it.
that's good.
Correct.
Well, we like this trend of bids coming in.
They have been coming in good this
lower.
year,
We,
yeah.
We can maybe cross our fingers going forward.
Oh, I have one other question.
Yes, go ahead.
I know it's in my district, but it's been a while since I've drove that area because it's kind of hard to get at. And clarify for me again, I think we talked about it when we met with the township, why you're not going west to like 15th Avenue Northeast. It's on this map.
Oh,
It's just almost straight west of where the project is. Is there low ground or what?
to 15th, actually, that was, the location of this road was really made up from the property owners out there and the township board.
Okay,
And so
so that was their decision.
it was
then?
their decision, yeah,
Okay.
yes. And we did not design the project. There's a consultant on board to help out the township with designing the road. We will be the ones that are inspecting it and kind of managing the project as it goes forward. It'll be our Public Works office doing that. But yeah, the location, the design was all left up to the township
Okay,
on that one.
all right, thank you.
Yep. And so, I guess the County Public Works recommendation is to award this contract to RNG Construction in the amount of $646,800.63.
We've heard the recommendation of staff. Is there a motion?
Yep, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to award the contract to RNG Construction Company of Marshall, Minnesota.
Thank you. And is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Imdak. Any further discussion, questions, comments?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a comment, listing all the things that go into the bid process. There's a lot of little details to bid these out, and I can understand why there could be some differences in the bidding as much as there is.
Yeah, there's many bid items in a project, and when you have a bid item with a large quantity, it doesn't take a small little price difference, and it kind of magnifies that really
Yes.
large at the
Yeah,
end of
I
it.
mean, I should count them up. There's many different little pipes and so forth, so thank you for putting that there. It helps us give a better understanding of what's all involved as well.
Yeah, you bet.
All right, we have a motion and a second to move forward with the bid award for this project. Final call, last call? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Jeremy, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate you having you in here, and we will take a,
Mr. Chair, before we go on break, I have this message keeps dropping down on my phone that taxes are due today. And I'm gonna warn you, because I learned this, the public who's listening, I learned this the hard way last year. I put my property tax in the mailbox and the mailman didn't come that day. So don't put them in your mailbox, bring them to the post office.
all right? Very good, and thank you for that. And we will take a 10-minute recess.
IT, are you ready?
We're calling the Candida County Board of Commissioners back from recess. In order to respect staff time, I'd like to flip-flop the 10:20 and 10:35 items. Is there any objection? Without objection, then we're going to do that. This will be the immunization update. And with us today are folks from Candida County Public Health, and it looks like Chris Winish is ready to step in and kick this off. Chris, good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chris Wenish, Supervisor with Candida County Public Health. So today we have just an informational bit, promoting and talking a little bit about what our immunization team does here at Public Health, and also our child and teen checkup. So next week, April 21st, the week of April 21st is National Immunization Week. So to kind of celebrate that and promote that, we have came up with a new exhibit at the Village, and where we're having an open house next week, 21st on Monday, and then that'll span the week of the 21st, where we have free admission to the Village for people to show up, and our staff will talk about that here in a minute. But so today we have Brandy Groff and Ashley Klein. Brandy's our immunization coordinator, and Ashley's our child and teen checkup coordinator, and they're gonna talk a little bit about what we do with immunizations, talk about the Village and some of the promotions that we're doing. And I also like to acknowledge Linda. Linda is our CTC program assistant, and she's put together a lot of the stuff that you're gonna be looking at today, stuff with the Village exhibit that we have, radio ads and stuff like that. She's put a tremendous amount of work into that, so I just want to make sure I acknowledge her also. So starting off, we'll have Brandy come up here and talk to you.
Hello, my name
And
is
if you'll
Brandy.
just, introduce yourselves
Yes.
and go ahead.
I'm Brandy Groff. I'm the immunization coordinator here with Candida County Public Health. I'm just going to kind of go over some basics on what we have always done and what we continue to do with immunizations here in public health. So Candida County has for many years provided immunization clinics to uninsured and underinsured individuals here at our public health office. We're able to offer children and adults who qualify vaccines at a reduced fee, thanks to the Minnesota Vaccines for Children, or MinVFC, and the UUAV, or un- and underinsured adults programs here in our office. We offer these clinics 2 times every month, all throughout the year, usually Monday evenings, 2 to 5 o'clock. We also go out to different work sites within Candida County and offer flu clinics during flu season. We work closely with local providers and schools to help collaborate and improve immunization rates, and also assess local immunization rates as well. Our next slide, unfortunately, we didn't have the most up-to-date information when we got these slides to you. I do have a printout of more updated rates. Are we able to do an overhead? Yes. And we can see those versus the slide. Okay. So you can kind of see here, this graph on the bottom just shows our childhood immunization rates for children 2 years that are up to date on their immunizations. In years past, we have always been fairly close to the state rates. We're looking here, green is the Candida County, yellow is the Renville rates, and the orange is the state rates. Looking at both just being we're a CHB with Renville County. Our rates have, unfortunately, in 2024 dropped from 2023. We were, for our full series completion by the age of 2, at 67% here in Renville, or in Candida County, and in 2024 dropped to 63%, so a little bit of a decrease there in our series completion rates. The state has also decreased a little bit. I think that's something we're seeing everywhere. So just looking at different ways that we can help increase those rates, kind of talk about, promote vaccines. We did offer last year, we gave 598 vaccines in 2024 to 236 clients here in our public health office. So those numbers have gone down a little bit, still pretty significant, but just looking at different ways we can help improve those rates in our county. So Ashley will come and talk a little bit about what we've been up to and what we have going on.
I'm going to ask just a quick question here, so if you just put that back
Yeah.
up for just a second. So, you know, we're looking at, on the first chart, we're looking at Renville County as part of our joint CHB, having a substantial increase back to pre-pandemic levels within that. What differences might there be?
That is a good question. Renville County doesn't, public health themselves, they do not offer clinics other than flu clinics in their public health office. They do, of course, have a smaller population than we do here in Candiota County, which might make their rates look a little bit higher as well. I'm not entirely sure what their jump is, and it's maybe something we have to talk with them about too, and just kind of collaborate and see if there's any new changes. I know they're doing a text program where they're sending out text reminders and things like that. I know the clinics here are doing that.
So it's the local healthcare providers that are exclusively providing
Correct.
immunizations
Yep.
in Renville County.
Yep.
And here we have both the local providers as well as our efforts here within public health to help those who may otherwise potentially fall through the cracks. Is
Correct.
that fair to
That's
say?
exactly right. And that's most of the clientele that we see here in public health is those folks that kind of fall through the cracks, especially kiddos
So
that maybe
fir-
aren't regular
So
seeing a
that first
doctor.
chart then covers all immunizations.
Correct.
And then
These,
the second chart, if we could go back, back to that, the one up above that yet. Yep, there we go.
There.
So, all the way back in 2017, pre-pandemic, there was almost a tripling of what the number is now.
yes.
But we've seen over probably the past 7 years or so, a lot of vaccine hesitancy. And, you know, how do we potentially get around that? What can we do to educate folks on the, not just the desirability, but the need to make sure that our children are immunized? You look at the measles outbreak in Texas, completely preventable.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And that's something that we're working with and have been communicating with different providers, especially Dr. Maren Ammon, our director, our medical director here, over at the clinic, and trying to coordinate different ways that we can kind of get the importance of them across, kind of meeting people where they're at too, and understanding their hesitancy, where that's coming from, and providing just a different additional education and support within that. And I think with that grant, the vaccine grant that we had, that Ashley's going to touch on different things we've done throughout the community, that's kind of our hope with all of that as well, that we can kind of push back on some of that hesitancy and make people feel maybe a little more comfortable and get those rates up.
And don't get us wrong, I think there are some people who have genuine concerns about vaccines, but there's a lot of, I'll just call it out for what it is, garbage science being pushed by the anti-vaccine forces out there, and it's worse than unfortunate. And you know, science used to be the authority, actual science, and now you know, people question whether up is down and down is up, and it's really disturbing in this area to me. Please continue.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I would agree with that. And I mean, there's a reason measles was once declared eradicated and is making its way around again. So hopefully with our efforts moving forward, it'll make a little bit of a difference. So I'll let
Commissioner
Ashley.
Burke.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This chart, this bar graph is shocking to see the drop. It was more than half just dropped in over those 7 years. I'm assuming then that it doesn't go back further than 2017, but I'm assuming it was still high through that whole period. So that one bar started out with represented the whole, where we were before, and now it dropped off. That is shocking.
It is, yeah.
Disappointing. But you're getting there, though. You're gonna
Yes,
change that.
absolutely, we're working on it.
We're trying.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner.
Mr. Chair. And we should point out, if I'm understanding the first we don't have the one that's shown on the screen right now, we don't have here, but the one that shows the trends from 2020, that it is trending upward for Candido County, if I'm understanding it right, correct?
Yeah, so the graphs on the slide are not the most recent. So the 2024 one is not the most recent, that's why we did the overhead of this one. But I mean, our goal is 80% coverage. We've always been slightly above the state overall rates, or right even with them. Obviously still some room for improvement and some work to do, but hopefully heading in the right direction.
Yeah, going in the right direction, exactly.
All right, go
And I
ahead.
have
Oh,
I have one
Commissioner
question.
Anderson.
So I'm clear, are these just what the county is giving, or is this the county and all the clinics in the
It
county?
is, it takes into account anybody residing in Candy, Ohio County. So if that, the data that we get, it pulls from MIC, which is an MDH source, but those vaccines given at the clinic and things like that are shared with that. So, yep, anybody residing in Candy, Ohio County.
All right, go ahead.
Want to take over?
Hello, I am Ashley Klein, and I'm a public health nurse here, and I am the grant coordinator for the Child and Teen Checkups Program. And so, yes, in response to your question, we're trying, and it is a problem. So we'll go over a few things that we've done in the last year to try and tackle this issue. So as you can see, this first slide shows a billboard that we created. Linda is amazing and created this, put it together, and then we sent it off to the company. And it's currently on Highway 23 and 71. We're just trying to do our best to get it out there. People need to see this is the norm. It's still the norm. It always has been. Next slide. We've also been doing radio ads. You've probably heard Linda and myself. We've worked with Lakeland Broadcasting, and so we've really tried to focus on the main things. Back to school, get your shots. We did an ad for that in August. Then in September, October, November, and December, we did an ad promoting flu, RSV, and COVID-19. We also made sure that people knew that there was an RSV vaccine available for adults, which a lot of people weren't really aware of that, so that was fun to get that out. We also did a New Year's ad, just starting the year off healthy, get your shots, go to the doctor, make sure you're following up with your teen child and checkups and exams. And what's fun is that we did all these ads in English and Spanish, and also we were able to have them air 24/7, so people that are working night shifts can also hear. Okay, so this is one of them. I won't play the whole thing.
You guys want to hear?
If you want to hear a little piece of.
Go ahead.
Oh,
We're back. That's right, folks. It's Ashley and Linda again, your local public health pros.
We miss you too.
And do you know what's right around the corner?
I do.
It's back to school time, which means you need to make sure your child or teen is up to date on their immunizations, because vaccines prevent disease, and it's worth a shot.
For more information, contact your local public health office of Candy, Ohio County, or visit us on our Facebook page.
So we've done quite a few of those. And again, that is in Spanish as well. Is that the? I just wanted, oh, okay, you don't have to play that again. Linda, your local public health pros. Did you forget about flu season? We didn't think so. Don't forget to call your clinic
Or, of course, your public health department.
to schedule your flu shot now. Oh, and Linda, did you know that there is now an RSV vaccine for adults?
Really?
Yep, just ask your provider for more details. Oh, and one more thing, local businesses can even have public health nurses come right to their sites and give employees their flu shots.
That's great.
For more information, contact your local public health department of Candy, Ojai County. So those little videos Linda helped make, and you might see them displayed on the TVs around here in the hallway downstairs. I think there's one up on the 3rd floor. So, yeah, oh, next slide. So we've gotten a lot of good feedback with those. Some of the things that we've spent COVID grant money on include some of these outreach supplies. I gave you guys a few things, those pens, note the quality, picked out by yours truly. But they have our information on there, talk about promoting vaccines. We've got immunization coloring books in English and Spanish, and we give those out at our immunization clinics on Mondays. We had first aid kits made, tote bags, calendar magnets that have the schedule of ages and what immunizations they need. And then stress squishy balls, tissue packs, I gave you some of those, little Kleenex packs. I did add a chip clip and some floss in there because we also do a lot with dental as well, even though that's not immunization related. But it's been fun because we've been able to support locally. We've worked with Hanson Advertising. We worked with Mike quite a bit, and just great partnership. We give these things out at lots of places. The fair, when we go to school events, kindergarten roundup, like I said, immunization clinics. And it just kind of depends on what the event is. And so we'll bring whatever we think would be good to give at that time. This next thing is a postcard that Linda created. And so these have been mailed to every resident in Candy, Ojai County. So they have a reminder just about the importance of getting vaccinated for COVID-19, flu, and RSV. We've also created some bus wraps that you might have seen on the CTC buses driving around town. That is the same picture that we have on our billboard, if you didn't notice. So those run from November 2024 until October of 25. So this next thing I'm going to talk about, Chris kind of briefed on, the Village Children's Museum. I don't know if you guys know where that is. It's over by, was it Giovanni's Pizza? Just a fun little, like a whole play town. And a lot of other people in the community have donated things like the ambulance, and CentraCare have donated old medical supplies and things like that. So what we were able to do is partner with them, and we created an event. It's called Viruses Out, Vaccines In. A Healthy Future Starts Here. It's an exhibit. So it explores the battle between harmful viruses and the life-saving power of vaccines. It's designed to educate and inspire. This exhibit shows how the viruses spread, they affect the body, how vaccines help our immune systems fight back. We created it to help decrease this vaccine hesitancy that we are seeing in our community. So hopefully we can build some trust up again and understand, let people be open to learning and understanding how they work and their role in preventing serious diseases. So this exhibit was especially designed for kids ages 1 to 7 in mind, focusing on colorful, friendly visuals, age-appropriate messaging. There's playful characters, simple language, hands-on activities, so people can just understand the basic concepts of germs and sicknesses and how vaccines can help. Our goal is to create a positive and reassuring experience that supports early learning and encourages families to have open conversations about health and wellness. So some exhibit materials that we have purchased include these large virus magnets. Kids can play with them, just a fun hands-on educational learning opportunity. We have an easel with a toy microscope that they can look at, little germs underneath there and learn. There's kid-friendly images of the illnesses, and so the parents can take their phone and scan that QR code, and that brings them right to a source that they can, CDC, can learn more about vaccines. some other exhibit materials that we bought, these magnetiles, educational blocks, just things that they can, again, have a hands-on opportunity to build viruses and learn. We've also purchased antimicrobial stuffed animals. There's a little baby care toy center there where they can play pretend nurse and doctor and give shots to babies with little toy shots. We've purchased a TV and a mount. And then we have myself reading a book about vaccines to the kids, and it'll just kind of play in the background. It's just a calming background environment. It's there are also other books that we bought too that they can read and go through. Okay, keep going here, I'm all over the place. Oh, okay, so this, I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but this is just a little snippet of what I meant by reading a book. I'll just read the beginning. It's kind of like, I don't know if you know Blue's Clues. Today, we're gonna read a book. Which one should we choose? How about this one? How do vaccines work? Is that okay with you? Great, let's get started. How do vaccines... Okay, so you get the idea. Again, I don't know if you've heard of the show Blue's Clues for younger kids. We kind of wanted to have that vibe. It's very interactive. Okay, so then, also note that this video, there's captions for deaf and hard of hearing viewers. So this is our flyer promoting this grand opening, which is gonna be this upcoming Monday, the 21st, from 4 to 7. So we've done Facebook posts on our public health Facebook that Linda takes care of. Like I said, the radio ad, we've done interviews actually with the radio. Bob, who does the morning show, I don't listen to the radio that much, but I think it's on Q102, asked us some questions, so that'll be airing on that. And then Peach Jar is an online platform where we can share community events to parents that are registered in it. It's through the Wilmer School District, so we've advertised through that. And again, next week is National Infant Immunization Week, so what better time to promote this event or to have it. And then also there'll be a couple of us nurses there that'll help answer questions, and we'll have outreach materials that we can give to families. And we have the radio ad. Oh, yeah, we'll play this for you guys. This is 30 seconds. This is us promoting this event. A new event coming up?
No, what is it?
It's at the Village Children's Museum, and it's called Viruses Out, Vaccines In. It's super cool, all about how vaccines work, and it's hands-on, great for kids and adults.
Sounds awesome. Tell me more.
The grand opening night will be this Monday, April 21st from 4 to 7 p.m., and it's totally free. And the best part is Public Health is covering admission all week from April 21st through April 27th if you miss the opening day.
That's amazing. I'm definitely bringing the kids.
See you there! So that's what we're trying to promote. It'll be interesting to see. We also talked about maybe creating a survey and having and asking members of our community their thoughts on why they're not doing it, why they're not choosing to do this. You know, again, it's the parents that make these decisions. So we're tackling it as we go.
And you and Chris will be on open mic tomorrow as well, I
Yes.
understand.
And Brandy, I believe.
And so appreciate your continuing outreach in this. Are there any questions from the board? Commissioner Bird?
Oh, I was just saying, good job.
Thank you.
I didn't want the floor, but I want to say thank you, and this is excellent marketing. It was good to see that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for your efforts. And Chris, I just wanted to bring you back up for just a second. It's slightly off topic, but you were here a couple of days ago testifying on behalf of not just our local public health, but all across the state of Minnesota down at the legislature. Is there anything that you wanted to update us on that?
Thanks. So Representative Baker introduced a bill for In regards to the hospitality fee, if you don't know what that is, it's a fee that MDH charges all of our establishments in the county. It's $40 a year, but they also in statute, they charge special event food stand licensees too. So if somebody that's trying to raise money for their local school, maybe for sports, for their kids' basketball game, maybe it's the fire department, they're always doing fundraisers and stuff. So each one of those people that apply for our special event food stands, they get charged an additional $40 from the state right now, called the hospitality fee. So, you know, our department, we just didn't see why they should be charging that money. I mean, we know what their reasons are, but we're only charging $20 here at Candido County Public Health for those special events. So to have the state pile on another $40 fee, we didn't see that was right. So we're trying to do something about it. So we had Representative Baker introduce a bill to exempt those special events, so those fundraisers and stuff. So hopefully it gets some traction. And yeah, Monday was down there to testify for that. So.
The way I understand this is that this would have actually impacted, you know, all the way down to a Boy Scout troop looking to raise a couple $100, or someone who wanted to try to raise a few $100s for the Humane Society would have had to pay this.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, our community, I mean, we have a lot of people that volunteer their time to raise money for all these events, whether it's for the fire department, for, the Boy Scouts, a lot of, to keep costs down for our youth when they're playing these sports at young ages, to keep down basketball fees and volleyball fees and all this stuff. So that's our way to keep those costs down. So to pile on some more fees, we just don't see that being right. So we're trying to do what we can to get that exempt.
Well, I appreciate those efforts, because you pile on another fee, and now all of a sudden you're going to have folks who say, well, it isn't worth it, and they either don't do the event, or they do the event and just don't come to you for the local guidance.
Exactly, yeah, and we want to make sure that, these events are safe, they're serving safe food. And I think we've tried to build relationships with all our small communities, so they come to us and we give them the education to serve safe food. And I mean, our fee is only $20 per event, which, we try to keep that as low as possible. So, yeah.
Well, appreciate your efforts on that. I didn't give you fair warning at the break that I was going to ask you that question, so thank you for being a good sport and for coming up with that. Kelsey?
And two, I'd just like to say publicly congratulations to Chris. He's just got a recent promotion to our health protection supervisor. Caroline was here a while ago, I can't remember how many months ago, talking about a public health kind of reorg update. And so we're kind of moving slowly through that to make sure kind of we're making those right steps. And so Chris was recently promoted, and so he's doing well in his new role, and he's adjusting well, so he'll do a great job. And then just thanks to the staff to doing the presentation. We do have very creative staff, and we're very fortunate to have them with us for this marketing campaign, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, we will release the four of you, and we'll have Caroline come on up, and we'll move back to the 1020 item, and this involves a partnership for Public Health Corps. Caroline?
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. Caroline Kahn, I have the opportunity to serve as the Health and Human Services Director, and again, echo Kelsey's congratulations to Chris. He's been a great asset. He's actually been with our Public Health Department for over 20 years, so it's been fun to see him grow and step into new roles, such as testifying at the legislature after his first week. So that's actually a bill that he helped formulate and on behalf of our community, so I think that's wonderful. This morning, I just wanted to provide an informational update of a unique opportunity that we have through the AmeriCorps, through a subset division through public health called AMPACT. We've been awarded the opportunity to bring on what is essentially a paid internship. I suppose I don't have that plugged in, so you should have the PowerPoint in front of you if you want to follow along with me. So AMPACT is an opportunity. It's a national nonprofit managing and scaling high-quality AmeriCorps programs. One of the first programs was the Reading Corps in 2003. It focuses on education and healthy futures. and it's one of the largest AmeriCorps grantees. It has been something that AMC has provided education and opportunities on through different areas to try and encourage public health departments to utilize this free resource. Why is public health communications important? I think it was important for you guys to see the opportunity from our team previously, because without the COVID-19 grant that we had at that time, we would have not had the capacity to do the marketing that you saw this team put together. Our foundational responsibilities as a public health department are to carry out areas of responsibilities that must be present in every every public health department throughout Minnesota. You've heard me talk over the past 2 years in relation to the systems transformation within public health. What I haven't talked about, and I'm going to steal from our neighbors, is the 8 blue boxes. And those are our foundational capabilities of assessment and surveillance, community partnership and development, organizational competencies, policy development and support, accountability and performance management, emergency preparedness and response, equity, and communication. Those are the 8 blue boxes, the foundation of which our public health department should be built upon. Previous to my joining Candy, Ojai County, we went through a cost and capacity assessment, which indicated that communications was an area in which we did not have a robust capacity to take on. What we have is the opportunity for our staff to take on certain initiatives that fit within their current grant work. Related to that grant funding that we had at that time, they were able to take on immunization, marketing, and outreach in new ways that previously wouldn't have been available to that scope. What this opportunity with AMPACT would be able to bring on an AmeriCorps member or an AMPACT member to serve our local public health departments in the communications area. This would be areas that are also an essential component of our Community Health Board's strategic plan, and meet that limited capacity need for our consistent and clear communication and to be able to be responsive to community needs as they arise. They'll help share critical health information, engage our communities, and highlight program impacts. The role of the AmeriCorps member is to enhance our communication strategies, support our internal and external messaging, take on unique projects such as immunizations. There's currently a national trend of mothers diluting their formula and using 3 ounces of water instead of 2, and not understanding what the dangers of that can be for their children. Currently, we don't have the capacity within our current grant structures to take on spaces like that. Will we do it? Yes, but having clear and consistent individuals to carry that message forward is a capacity we don't currently have. They also can act as a bridge between our public health initiatives and the community. Some of the key objectives that we'll have this AMPACT member focus on will be increasing our public awareness, supporting our social media and newsletter and digital platforms, enhance our internal communications, templates and different program updates and our messaging tools, and to help us build sustainable communication strategies and improve our community engagement. Having somebody that is their focus and their training to take on, we are blessed with an incredible team that has unique skills and creative abilities, but they also have job responsibilities that they must take on too. So we just add like, hey, we have to do this, so will you help out? So this would be somebody that can help kind of steer that in a consistent manner as well and provide that additional support. As a host site, we will be responsible for providing training and oversight and equipment, being a supportive environment, and provide clear division to ensure efficient operations. AMPACT will be responsible for supplying the stipends for this individual, supplying health insurance and access to different member assistance programs, educational awards, potential child care assistance. That's all handled through AMPACT as the partner. We are just the host that helps provide the experience and the learning and some site supervision, which thanks to the foundational capabilities grant, we are able to provide that site supervision under our foundational health responsibilities grant. Our impact and our outcomes, we're striving to have stronger community engagement, continue efforts like you just saw into the future and in new ways to address other community needs, maintaining our focus on immunizations as that is also a key component within our community. We'll aim to inform more residents and stakeholders, re-engage our stakeholders. After COVID, things just got reprioritized, and now it's time to come back and carry that torch further and re-engage with our community, which we've had really positive results with so far, and we'd like to continue further. Also hopeful to engage this person with some of our opioid settlement funds and community conversations related to that work. So I'm excited for the opportunity. We were given the grant award to welcome an AmeriCorps member to Candy Ojai County Public Health for a year time. This will be the last time that funding is guaranteed. If that funding continues, there would be the opportunity to reapply for an additional. Some local public health departments have had years of AMPACT partnerships. Our partner in our CHB had a communications-focused AMPACT member just about a year ago and had really positive results with that experience, and we're excited to take our turn too. So, any questions?
Commissioner Anderson.
So, so because you're getting this grant now, or you have it already, is it? or
We
do you-
were awarded, we got an email this week saying
That
that we
you're-
were awarded the opportunity to welcome a member.
Okay, and so if you wouldn't have done it now, you wouldn't be able to do it, like, say, next year?
No,
But,
next year the
but
funding.
because you did it now, you can renew it.
No, because we did it now, we'll be guaranteed for a year opportunity.
Okay.
At that time, it depends on if that funding will remain available within that program to apply again.
Okay, but you would be able to if they.
If it's there, yep, we could.
But if you didn't do it now, you wouldn't be able to next year, is that?
Yeah,
how I
it's not
understand it?
guaranteed to be open next year for funding. So
For
right
new
now.
funding or
for-
whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
or sustained funding. So it's like any internship, it's a time-bound experience to provide education and experience for individuals in their educational process with that, or recent graduates with that public health experience, while also helping us leverage our communications foundation.
Okay, and then how much was that grant?
So it's not really a grant that we will receive. What we get is the individual. AMPACT will pay a stipend of up to $1,275 every other week to the member. They also provide educational awards with up to $7,395. They also have opportunities for federal student loan forbearance, different health insurance where they pay the premium. So that's all handled outside of Candy Ojai County. We have no financial responsibility or ties to this member in that regard.
Okay, and then if you like the individual, when this expires, have an opportunity maybe to hire them for some
Well, that
position?
depends on my Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
But no, that's not where
Well,
we're
we always have
currently
people
at.
leaving,
Yeah,
but-
what
I think we
we're
had that
hopeful to do
conversation,
is to, this is a new experience. We know how to do communications, but we haven't had the opportunity to have somebody have that be their primary focus and help leverage that further. What Renville County had was the experience of how beneficial that was to their programming, so they recrafted an existing position to make that possible. It might be something that we look at in the future, but right now, we just want to take this as a learning experience for both our member and for us, and to keep our responsibilities to our community moving forward as we should.
Commissioner Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Any idea when this will actually take place, when they will?
We can
have
start
hired-
recruiting for a member immediately if we'd like.
So as soon as we hire one,
Well, so they do the hiring, so we can send members to them, they do that interview process, they will talk to us as the host site about what we are looking for, what we'd like, review candidates with us prior to make sure we're an appropriate match. But they handle that part. So what we'll do is we'll help say, hey, this is an AMPACT experience. If people, that Candy Ojai County will have a host, so we can send, say, individuals that applied for other positions with us, and maybe we went a different direction based off other experience. We can say, hey, this is a new opportunity. You could apply for that and potentially still join our team in a different way.
I just may follow up. So the clock starts ticking, or the year we get is once we hire the person, then that's not the calendar year type of thing?
Excuse me, to my knowledge, that is how it works.
Okay, thank you, sounds good.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Commissioner Abdeck?
Thank you. And again, just because of everything that's in the news every day about, funding, both from the state and the federal government, can you, or maybe you plan to provide us with the fiscal note regarding the providing of training, oversight, and equipment?
So the equipment is equipment that we currently already have within our department, so we'll just be loaning that equipment so it matches our technology needs for this individual. And the training and oversight that we provide, we can now code that individual's time to our Foundational Public Health Responsibilities Grant. So the fiscal note actually should be a levy positive because that person's role currently is levy, and now we'll be able to assign or code that time to a different grant. So a lot of our time in public health is coded to different grants by 15-minute increments. So,
Commissioner Decker.
So it won't be a new staff position, it'll just somebody who's on staff and the resources we already possess will be used.
utilized and deployed appropriately, so.
And this, to piggyback upon what Commissioner Emdek alluded to, public health is under attack. There's no other way to say it at the federal level. And so if we're going to do these foundational public health responsibilities and do this public health transformation like we've been working on for 20 years, and we need an update because it's been over 50 years since there's last been a real transformation of public health within this state, we're just going to have to do more with less for right now, and unfortunately, that's kind of the way that we see it. And spending some time in this space as part of my duties, this is highly concerning to all of us who care about public health in general.
I can hear your concern, and I think that the highlight is public health personnel has always been working with more with less for 20-some years, so they're the experts in it. They know how to still get the job done with limited resources and be savvy about bringing things and opportunities in to help achieve the goal without big asks, so.
I would just remind everyone here and out there as well that our public health department, among others within this organization, literally saved lives during the pandemic. And make no mistake about it, this is such a highly important piece of work that we need to continue emphasizing within our organization as well. So, any other further questions for Director Khan? All right, well, thank you so much.
Well, I hope to see you all on Monday, 4 to 7.
All right, and, okay, I did check that off already. We're at the 11 o'clock item, actually, and so we'll call to the podium Gary Gear, our Environmental Services Director, in regards to a landfill contract award. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Gary Gear, Candido County Environmental Services Director here this morning with the agenda item for the award of the landfill contract for Phase 8B, for 2025. And it is including the MSW cell construction, which includes clay borrow from neighboring property and the, of course, the inclusion of all the leachate collection treatment underneath the cell, and then the liner, compacted clay, poly liner, and then MSW on top of that is the ultimate how the landfill construction proceeds. It includes an east access road, which is just development and grading to make it accessible for the compactor to go back and forth without having to go across any asphalt or anything. It's the steel-wheeled compactor for the landfill work. The access ramps of the litter fence extension, and with those items, the proposal came in at $1,796,473.20, which is about $125,000 under the engineer's estimate. So I'm kind of happy to report that or see that's a good thing to see. And so with that, staff would be recommending, along with our engineers, Foth Engineering, recommending the county board approve this contract today.
You've heard the recommendation of staff. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, also move.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion and a second to approve the recommendation of staff. Questions, comments? Commissioner Anderson?
Yeah, so It was under the estimate by how much was that again?
$122,269.80.
Thank you.
You bet.
Commissioner Imdahl.
And perhaps it could have even been less than that if we really only borrowed that clay instead of buying that clay from
Yes.
the neighbor.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Dale Anderson.
I drive by there every day, and I just want to say that extension of that fence will be great. I mean, I feel sorry for whoever has to go and clean up what's against the fence this morning, but with the northwest wind, that fence definitely is worth the money and the time that was put in to build it. There is no garbage in the road ditch, and I think that's a great thing that we've spent that money on.
It is an overwhelming task to work, to start at that south end on the inside of the fence now because it's all in, but the good thing is it's all in one spot.
Yep.
Helpful.
Any other questions before we vote? Hearing none, all in favor of the award signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. And Gary, I understand, since we have a minute.
Yep.
I understand we made the news yesterday.
Oh, boy. I haven't heard the news yet.
Oh, in regard to the leachate,
Okay. Did it come out? Good.
oh, it did.
Well, it got
Press
picked up
release?
by WCCO.
Oh, okay. Good. Yes.
I found out yesterday too.
Apex was the company that was originally, contracted with the county to develop and implement the leachate treatment collection system. And it's been, I want to say, almost a year and a half now since we've trucked anything. So we are treating all of the leachate. It's not to the percentages of permeate and concentrate that we were originally kind of hoping for. We're kind of 50-50 for percent of permeate is the clean water effluent that comes out of the treatment facility. And then the concentrate is the thicker sludge that comes out, and that we collect and we honey wagon back up into the working face of the MSW cell. So while that makes a little more work for us because there's more concentrate to haul, but we are, I think, ahead of the curve of a lot of the way landfill law is being presented to us by the state in regards to, I should say, we're ahead of the curve because we're already operating. We hope to only get more efficient, but because other landfills are going to be mandated to have on-site treatment in the near future, and we're already there. So.
And this is something that was started more than 5 years ago.
Yes, correct. 2015 was 2014 contracted and 15 operational.
Okay. Commissioner Anderson?
Yep, thanks.
Then Commissioner Imdahl.
So you said we haven't had to haul anything out for like a year and a half off-site to get
Correct.
treated? So even last year, we had quite a bit of rain last spring and summer, that you were able to keep ahead of that?
We were able to keep ahead of that, yes, so that's good. And, another point. I think just Ryan Batten is our landfill superintendent up there, and he just does a terrific job. And we've done a lot of stormwater improvements too, that historically we didn't watch or monitor quite closely enough. So, because stormwater, we don't have to treat as leachate, but as soon as any kind of rainwater or stormwater comes in contact with any MSW, then we're collecting it, capturing it. So we've really done some grading and berming and work to minimize rainfall events, et cetera, having to be calculated into and counted as leachate. So that's helped us too, but we were able to keep up during we were able to keep up during the rain last year.
That's good.
Yes.
Commissioner
Thank you,
Imdahl?
Mr. Chair. I was asked to come out there yesterday when WCCO was out there, because I was there in 2015, when we started it. And one of the questions I got and couldn't answer was, when we as a board at that time did the collective gulp on what our investment would be, what was that investment, if you recall? The initial.
Initial was, I think, 3-point-something.
Okay.
Million is what was originally, and then we have added to it a couple times as we've made adjustments to the system, so we were at more than that, but we are operational too, so.
And as I recall, what really drove this, and I think what preceded you, Jeff Redberg, I think was here at the time, was that there was some threat that we would no longer be able to bring our wastewater treatment to the treatment plant here in Wilmer because of the chloride levels. And that's kind of what got them looking at some alternative ideas. And then, of course, that was a need. And then we had hoped that an outcome would be that we would stop spending the money to haul that water. And it looks like we finally achieved that this past year.
We have achieved that.
And one of the things we've been waiting for a long time is a standard operating permit from MPCA. Is there any update on that?
Yes, we're gonna work through, they have been holding off our issuing us or wanting us to even issue us a new permit for the landfill itself. We're still operating under the permit that was originally issued in, I believe, 2014. And because they've wanted us to not renew that permit until the demonstration research project, which is our leachate treatment system, we're under that permit. They were wanting to put us all under one umbrella and get the demonstration research project permitted under our facility. Now the state is saying they're able to separate the two and hold off on that. So we're hoping to re-permit this year the facility and then bring the demonstration research project on when we want to, which is, I think, a benefit to us yet to hold off on that, because as soon as we become permitted, if we have a bump or a spike in one of the sampling reports, then we're in violation of the permit. So as long as we can maintain it as a separate until we are confident we're not gonna have that hiccup and be in violation of our permit, then, so I'm probably speaking in circles, but we have a permit to re-permit this year for the facility, and they're gonna allow us to work with them as to when we would then ultimately bring the demonstration research project under our permit.
And do we have a goal for when that might be, once we understand that the hiccups are not gonna happen? Like 2 years, a year?
Yeah, we've been a year and a half of operation right now without giving it, but we've been above some of the standards in the sampling reports. So that's what we're trying to get a comfort level with. And I would say 2 years, because we also want to, leachate is really temperamental in temperature as well. So it depends upon winter or summer, whether you're meeting the parameters or not too, and when you might see a spike, or after a big rainfall event that, we just have too much flow, we're able to treat it, but maybe we had a spike in XYZ analysis. So we're trying to get our comfort level so that we can come to the board and say, and that you would be comfortable to approve coming under this permit. So, and not have what I'm concerned about is having a violation that we don't want to deal with.
Right, thank you. Commissioner. And one of the challenges we had with it was maybe viewing it as a goalpost being moved a little bit when they then added the boron requirement.
Correct.
Which we have dealt with. It was expensive to deal with it. But are you worried about any other future requirements that?
The biggest requirement that I think that the state is trying to balance and get a handle on too, in a lot of other aspects, is of course PFAS. We'll hear a lot about that. Our treatment facility, leachate treatment system, is treating all of the PFAS, and we're capturing and retaining those on site. So people reviewing this and engineers studying it are excited about that this technology is working to capture the PFAS. The boron is the one element yet that we still struggle with getting over the intervention limits. And what we're trying to do is, the intervention limits are drinking water standards. And then, so that's an incredibly high standard to meet for discharge. So I think that will be talked through with legislatures and or the MPCA as well, to try and get us, what I'm understanding is they're looking to try and get a site-specific standard for us and for individual landfills, just based on historical data of what their waste stream looks like. So I think if we can get a site-specific standard, that'll really help us feel comfortable in ultimately getting approval.
And if I just could follow up on your comment about PFAS, the forever chemicals. As most people know, they came from products that protected clothing and furniture coverings and your Teflon or stick-free pans and other things, fire retardants. They are all the rage right now in terms of the concern for the chemicals. In 2015, when we thought about this project, or it was proposed to us, PFAS, while certainly they existed, was not on anyone's radar. And the current method now is that a leachate that would be hauled from an untreated landfills gets hauled to a waste treatment plant, gets diluted down to the point where, okay, now you've met the standard because it's just dilution is a solution. And it's still there, it's just got diluted. This one, if we were hauling water to the Wilmer wastewater treatment plant, the leachate, there wouldn't be any
PFAS in it.
PFAS in it.
Correct. And that's the plus.
All right, thank you. Any further questions? Commissioner Burke?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Initially, I was just going to comment that we do have a movie star in our presence. I watched the WCCO commercial about this on the news last night, and I saw Commissioner Emdek on there. It was about a 1 or 2 minute news story about Kandiyohi County and the landfill, and they did an excellent job of that. And I think we're just really breaking ground here. Can you just give a little bit of history? If I attended the groundbreaking back when we first installed that, were we not one of the first sites in the United States doing this kind of filtering?
We were initially, and I think Apex would probably still say we are.
Put you on the spot, I'm sorry.
The technology has changed a little bit midstream from, single pass to multi-pass through there. So it is an RO treatment system. But yes, first it's significant that the technology we have in place and the treatment that we're accomplishing.
It says a lot about our commitment to our environment.
Exactly.
All right, well, thank you for that, and did we vote yet?
Yep.
We did. Okay. All right, well, Gary,
right,
thank
thank
you
you
so
all.
much,
Yep.
and we do have a request for a 5-minute break, so we'll take that at this time.
IT, are you ready?
The Candidae County Board of Commissioners is back from recess. We're at the 11:20 item, Planning Commission recommendations. Eric Van Dyken, our zoning administrator. Eric, good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Eric Van Dyken, County Zoning Administrator, here before you today with a couple requests. Glad to be back with you after a couple months absence as schedule dictated for me. So actually my first time addressing Commissioner Gardner as chair, so glad to be here with you. The two items that are in front of you are action items. They come from the Planning Commission, commensurate to their meeting of April 7th. The first is a action request on a conditional use permit from Justin Anderson. This land is located in far northern reaches of Kansas County, west of Highway 71 in Colfax Township. The proposal here is for a feedlot at just under 1,000 animal units. This will be a beef feedlot, a total confinement facility. The applicant proposes kind of a three-phased proposal. Phase one, that would go up, I would say directly. Phase two, that is planned for hopefully in the near future. And then phase three, that's perhaps a little bit further down the road, hoping for an option to expand for family purposes down the road. Each of them being total confinement. The County Feedlot Officer Russ Hilbert was able to provide some insight at the hearing and had a letter of review. I've since been understanding that Russ is starting to get some more information, some of the preliminary plans and stuff that he will have to approve before this feedlot is ultimately permitted under state permitting guidelines. And so as is typical, you'll see the conditions draw in those state permit requirements or kind of attach ourselves to compliance with state permitting as is typical for us on feedlots in particular. And so the Planning Commission in this matter does recommend approval with 4 conditions and the findings as you see in the draft minutes.
And before we take this matter up, I want to give the floor to Commissioner Dale Anderson.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I will not be commenting or voting on this. I have a conflict of interest.
Thank you for that. Mr. Chair. Commissioner Berg.
Yes, but I just want to make a note, I guess. I'm a little concerned, it was on our time frame for 11:20. I'm not sure if you have 2 of these concerns coming up, and that some people may have wanted to attend the meeting today. So I'm a little nervous that we're moving forward in case other people wanted to be here. Even though they probably won't be speaking, but to be present.
Yeah, I think 2 items, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but we have the ability as a board to move items around on the agenda, and 2, this isn't actually a public hearing, correct?
That's correct. There will be no public hearing today, and I would defer to Administrator Baker on the flexibility of the board's agenda. It's certainly has been my historical interaction with the board that we do kind of move up and down based on usually at the Planning Commission level, what the chair there says is that items, can move up or down a little bit on the board agenda.
Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I'm quite aware of this. This is not a public hearing. Just that we have, I believe other commissioners as well, received communication and phone calls concerns about these. And being as open as we can, I would just like to, if we would be able to wait to see if anybody shows up or be on time on this one, but I just want to express my concerns. But legally, or technically, you're correct.
Thank you for that. And so what we are to consider primarily is the testimony then that was given at the conditional use hearing, yes?
That's correct. The record as is set through the process, including public hearing, that's correct.
Because as Commissioner Berg indicated, I would imagine most, if not all of us, have received some other communications from folks out in the general public, and we are aware of that, but in order to process a CUP, we have to go by what's on the record. Yes?
That's correct.
Okay. Any questions or comments on
I have a question.
Commissioner Anderson?
So when I'm looking at this, I see a map, but I don't, or a overhead or aerial photo, but I don't see where it's being proposed on the location. Do you have any idea?
Yep, I can give you a little, so usually with these applications, I'm always asked to give a kind of a general vicinity map, and I can highlight for you on the, with the overhead camera here, the kind of the 3 phases. They're actually nicely color coded, and there is one property line question in here that I can update you on as well. So here is the site in question. The you'll notice way on the far over here, this is Highway 71 coming up and down, and then this is the drive in right here. This is the main farm site as it's been operating back towards some of the grain storage and feed storage area here. The number 1 here is, you see, is the first phase of the barn. This is where the cattle will be located, and down here will be a combination of stacking slab manure storage and what the applicant is referring to as a kitchen, which is maybe just a little different. We don't think of cooking for cows, but what he's proposing in there is actually a robotic feeding system. So this system will mix and feed and measure feed for the cattle. So pretty neat. Pretty unique proposal. Then phase 2 would be a wing or another barn coming off this way that same robot could service. And phase 3 would be a little further to the north here.
All right. And any other questions? So, Commissioner Burke.
Yes, I'm a little concerned about this and some of the information we received, and my concerns would be, and I just want to share it with the board as well as you well aware of, but that we should address this once more, that there's somebody lives within about a quarter of a mile of there, am I correct?
No. All sites exceed the quarter-mile setback. So it wouldn't be approved by the planning commission or recommended for approval by staff if a setback was violated, so.
So how close is the closest person then?
The closest site is gonna be to this direction, and a quarter mile probably comes more somewheres in here perhaps, I believe. So a ways away from the. So yeah, we always measure all those setbacks, and of course GIS gives us great access to be able to do that with a high degree of accuracy.
Okay. The concern I received would be that, as you're probably aware of that concern too, that there was other sites around there that created a smell, let's put it that way. And this would be the third type of one, and it was close to them, and they're really concerned about that. And it affected them being outside already. And so they think their quality of life is being changed because of that. That's
Yeah.
You know, and you already took testimony, but I just wanted to. Was that a concern? Did that ever get brought up or anything like that?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Berg. Certainly that was part of the testimony at the
Okay.
public
So,
hearing, and
yeah,
it was
then you
part
help
of the.
explain it better than I can,
Yeah,
probably.
part of the planning commission discussion certainly did acknowledge that. You had various testimonies, people on the planning commission that acknowledged, hey, I might have grown up in a similar situation. I've smelled some of these things myself. There was a general acknowledgement that we do recognize in our zoning that in agricultural areas, we will experience agriculture. And so what the zoning ordinance does is it says in ag areas, we have certain levels of agriculture, and when we go above certain levels, we will be we'll ask a little bit more of a producer. So in this instance, we're saying you have to be located a certain distance beyond that. When they meet that, the practice and the inference from the zoning ordinance is that we believe it to be an acceptable level of disturbance in an agricultural area, that we do acknowledge there is some disturbance when we raise animals, when we operate machinery, all those things that come with agriculture. But those are expected and considered broadly acceptable in the district. And so the Plan Commission did acknowledge those things.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you do then, you are saying there are two other areas or farm hog places, for example, that could impact. And so if there's a possibility of 3 places, that's still acceptable then? Is that, and living in an ag area? I mean, it's kind of a gray area for me, and I can kind of understand the concerns, but you're saying that's acceptable.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Berg. So according to our ordinance, it's acceptable. So for me, it's not a personal judgment whatsoever. And our ordinance does not have a density limitation on feedlots. So it doesn't say, X number in a township will be enough or too much or whatever. The county has historically had, matter of fact, there's times when the county board has passed and still has in effect in its history, what's called an livestock friendly, named itself to be a livestock friendly county. And so part of that, that livestock friendly approach is to say that we welcome livestock production and we generally treat it as something that is a part of the community that we don't just tolerate, we actually value. And so with that, we have not adopted at the county level particularly stringent, like feedlot to feedlot setbacks or density limitations that say if you get this much in an area, you aren't allowed to have any more.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yeah, so on your drawing or whatever that you have there, I can see phase 2 and phase 3, they're 350 by 70. Phase 1, is that the same dimensions or is it smaller, bigger? I can't really see the one number. I see 70,
it's
but I can't.
304 feet. The width is the same at 70 and the length there is listed at 304 feet.
Okay, and is that including that one cement slab or whatever you have on the right side there? Or is that?
No, that's
I'm just
extra.
curious.
That's extra. So that if you see it, look at the top there, it says that's 50 feet. So, and these plans are a little bit subject to potentially change. So for the Planning Commission, the overall, what they're weighing and balancing isn't necessarily what's an exact dimension of a barn, but does it meet standards? Is it above the 300 animal unit threshold? Does it meet all the other standards? And then the pollution concerns historically that we have not layered on top of what the Pollution Control Agency requires on these. So one of the big parts of Russ's testimony is that he has checklists for the barn and its siting. He has checklists for any engineering, including the stacking slab, which is actually going to be considered kind of a liquid manure storage area. He has checklists for approval on manure storage and management, record keeping, all those kind of things. So one of the benefits we have is having, because years ago, the county board had insight to enter the feedlot program, we have a local feedlot officer that's able to be very responsive to these things for our local producers.
Okay, and then will they don't go out on a feedlot, they'll probably be staying inside the barn the whole time, or is it kind of like a hog confinement type thing?
Yes, that's correct,
Okay.
total confinement.
Oh, and then, sorry, will be drop curtains or what, or don't you know that at this point?
I have not seen the exact design. I believe that the south is open quite a bit, but I'm not fully familiar with the ventilation that might be proposed.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is there any other conditions that could be put on this project that would help eliminate odor?
Well, historically, the only thing that I have seen, and involves some myself, there was a time in Minnesota when certain Generally, there were hog facilities, were targeted with some technology called biofilters. I got my start in Renville County, and those, there was a guy whose name was Dick Nicolai, worked for the Extension Service, and he was pioneering the idea of biofilters. Usually, that is necessary to have a very closed ventilation system as well. So you're pulling all air through some defined areas, and then you put it through something. I've never really seen that required or asked of a beef facility. If I'm to speak generally about cultural, societal response, for most people, there's a little hierarchy of odors, if you could call it that way, as far as what people find offensive. Beef or cattle in general, beef and dairy do not tend to be near the top of that. We tend to find that swine and poultry are the odors that people, and I'm speaking somewhat broadly here, but find more offensive. And so I've never seen a livestock beef facility being subjected to those requirements. And in my 21 years here working at the county, there's been no real trend to say you need some additional odor controls above and beyond.
Go ahead.
Just Paul, yes, and that was the only situation there. And I think that's what the person's attitude was who contacted me. And I listened to them, and it was like, well, this is one more, even though the other odors are a lot stronger. Let's put it that way. But, you know, that they have to live with those odors at different times throughout, especially the summertime when they're outside. This is just one little bit more that might be just too much. That's what they're saying. So, but it's understood that the odors would not probably be as bad as a hog farm. Okay, thank you.
Eric, I'm seeing in the record that you had 3 members of your commission that were out on the viewing committee, and that they actually viewed this as a better solution, being that it's a closed operation that should help with the odor. I'm not sure I understand that quite, but I assume it's because this is a full confinement facility.
Yes, and somewhat that had to do with the type of manure storage. So a bed pack is typically not going to be as odorous as if you had a pit underneath. That liquid manures just tend to have, they off-gas more. Because usually one of the more offensive odors that people find is our odor or gases in the sulfide family. So, you know, you think of a rotten egg smell, sulfides tend to trip a trigger for people. And liquid manures, because of their biology and how they break down, they tend to put off more different sulfides, hydrogen sulfide and hydrogen disulfide, et cetera. And those, so it's a lot related to the type of manure storage as a bed pack that would have less odor potential than if, sometimes you will see new beef facilities as well with a deep pitted barn underneath it. And then the air, of course, is being drawn through that all the time and evacuated out so it doesn't make gas go up and kill your livestock.
And then, of course, this had to go through the conditions and findings in order to be brought to us today. And so, you know, there were 4 different conditions, but the findings as relates to odor, the Planning Commission found that adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, and that's based upon the recommendation of the Planning Commission, which of course had the 3-member viewing committee as well.
That's correct.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Imdeck.
So actually, the findings are staff findings. They're not the commission's findings. So the staff findings presented to the commission.
Well, Mr. Chair, if I may, when the Planning Commission adopts them, they become the Planning Commission findings. So staff recommends, and the Planning Commission takes ownership of those and says, we find this, we conclude this. So if I may provide that clarification.
Commissioner Imdeck.
Yeah, and I am on planning and zoning, and I voted in favor of this, but I look at finding number 1, even though at the time we voted on it, it says it will not substantially diminish or impair property values or the enjoyment of the property. I farmed most of my life and didn't have hogs, but I know that the way beef are fed today, they can often smell like hog excrement. And I'm concerned, I know there's a way forward for this to happen where both parties will have some satisfaction. Because I am concerned, you mentioned hydrogen sulfide and the cumulative effect of the hog operation and the beef operation. If there could be some mitigation about the odors leaving the property, I'm gonna be much more comfortable. Going down to number 4, the Planning Commission finds that adequate measures, but it doesn't say what those measures are. And I have learned since the meeting on Monday night that or since the Planning Commission meeting, that there are some measures that can be taken, but perhaps should be actually a condition of the things such as vegetation that breaks the wind and keeps the wind from going downstream. Because this neighbor is directly downstream from these, or downwind, I should say, from these operations. So I don't think we can, I think there's a better way to do this that is not very expensive and wouldn't delay the effort and would make good neighbors out of both parties. I'm gonna have a hard time, or I won't support this as it's presented, and I would recommend that we remand it back to the planning and zoning for more specificity on the mitigation for the odor.
Thank you. I didn't hear that as a motion.
Mr. Chair, I will make that motion that we refer this back to planning and zoning to look at one more time and to see if there's any other conditions and just to review that based on the concerns about the impact on somebody's living near there and their quality of life because of the odors.
There is a motion to refer this matter back to the Planning Commission. Is there a second?
I will second that.
All right, there's a motion and a second to refer back to the Planning Commission. Any discussion? I had something and now I'm trying to find it. Sorry. Give me just a second here. I'd like to ask the county attorney if he can potentially give us some guidance on this matter, or maybe I should ask you first, Eric, but typically, in this instance, no, I'm sorry, I'm making an assumption and I'm going to back off from that. So we have a motion and a second to refer this back to the Planning Commission. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair. One of the things when we remand that back, as I understand it from a previous experience, as we remand it back, we need to have a reason, and I'm citing staff findings number 1 and 4 as not being as complete as it could be in order to mitigate the hydrogen sulfide, because that can also be a public health issue.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'll accept that as a friendly amendment to my motion, if you need to.
I don't, you could correct me if I'm wrong, I don't, it's a requirement of remanding it back, so it's not really
Okay.
Any change to the motion.
Okay.
Am I right, Mr. Van
Let
Dyke?
me follow up. It's just a motion, not
To
just,
remand
it's
it
a
back.
matter- but to hand it back, review and report back, whatever reasonable amount of time you'd see to do that. Because we don't want to, also don't want to make them have to wait too long for a decision from the board.
And I would then ask the county attorney to weigh in on this matter.
My only question for Mr. Van Dyken is any timelines that a decision needs to be made one way or the other?
Yes, County Attorney Baker. We are operating under the 60-day rule. I believe that this would require that we extend that 60-day rule. The 60-day rule does allow for extension up to an additional 60 days. And so this would, I believe, put us in that territory. So we will need to do that. The only other thing that I would note in kind of in general response to what I'm hearing is that for remand to be helpful for the Planning Commission, it is good to have as much specificity as possible as to what additional the board would like the Planning Commission to look at. And so I'm hearing some things from Commissioner Imdick over here. And then I'm also seeing that Administrator Baker would like to perhaps weigh in on that.
I think if I can, maybe Eric Van Dyken can clarify this as well, as when we get recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Committee, they, as Eric mentioned, they are the recommendations and findings from the Planning Commission. We need to treat every request the same. We oftentimes get questions about the conditions and findings. Some of these plans may not be 100% complete. That's the staff's position. As Eric mentioned, Eric and Russ will be working with this landowner. But I just want to remind the commission to treat every request as equal, because we oftentimes get requests that are still being worked through, right? So I just want, if you can maybe clarify on that a little bit, but I would just remind the board.
Thank you. So one of the things I would note is that historically, odor, of course, and feedlots go hand in hand, right? There isn't a feedlot that's ever been approved in the county where someone hasn't said, I don't want this odor. I mean, that's an inevitability. History tells us that we permit, I don't recall a single one, none has been denied in my time here. We permit, and if you go back to like the height of the hog wars, Holland Pork, an operation that I've used to work for myself personally at one time, the genesis of that was significant as to what people felt like the impacts might be. Historically, we have never seen data that says property values go down, never in the county anywhere. We've approved every feedlot with that understanding. I talk to the county assessor regularly to see if there's any pattern that shows. So we continue to conclude time after time after time that property revaluation is not a thing from these when they meet standards, and this one does and must.
And Eric, you had no testimony to that effect from anybody who was questioning it upon that basis, correct?
That's correct. The most that we tend to get is fears from people, and of course, those don't substantiate anything. I would speak generally about trees as odor control. They're generally not effective, and windbreaks don't do much, and they're notoriously hard to follow up on 10, 20 years down the road. Holland Pork had some required, and they really didn't grow up and they didn't change anything about the area. They kind of felt good for a period of time. So those are just a few general comments. I have some information that I could use to direct the Planning Commission from what Commissioner Imdick is saying. The more specificity, the better. If it was to pass, excuse me.
Before I go back to Commissioner Berg, I'd just ask Shane if he had anything else that he wanted to weigh in on in this matter.
Nothing additional. I just was trying to note some of the specific things, if this motion was approved, included whether, with regards to number 4, whether vegetation or other conditions better address odor, what are the adequate measures identified for number 4 that are being taken? And then there's question regarding finding number 1, or some of the things I heard.
Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to really clarify that I do have a lot of respect for our staff and the excellent job they do. And I've said that many times in the past at the board meetings. And you probably did an excellent job on this as well. I'm not saying it was a bad job done on this. I just, looking at the idea of reviewing this, looking at one more time because I have a concern about this. And a concern has been expressed to me about this concern from the community. Also, I just want to be aware of, as a board, I feel a responsibility of I've been on the board for 7 years now, and I never made a request like this. And I think as a board member, I don't want to just stand for everything that comes in front of us. And also, I think I have an obligation to follow through with my feelings on that. So looking forward, and I don't recall the board during those 7 years that the board had requested. I believe there's been some requests that to be taken back for planning to look on 1 or 2 other episodes, maybe. But this is it. So we're just looking at making sure we get everything examined that I feel comfortable with.
Commissioner Imdek.
This is not setting precedent as remanding something back to it's the reason it ultimately comes to us. And I want to reiterate that I believe there's a clear path forward here that can be a good neighbor path forward as well. And remanding it back to the Planning Commission for perhaps a little bit more specificity to how those odors would and dust would be controlled. It may be an abundance of caution, but it sure beats the alternative of turning the process down, voting it down, because then it would require, what, a year before they could reapply?
Without a substantial change in facts, the ordinance does require a year between a denial and a reapplication.
Does anyone else wish to weigh in? I'm extremely uncomfortable in not moving through the recommendation of the Planning Commission. This is an agricultural area. We are an ag community at our heart. And yeah, maybe you can answer this, Eric, maybe not, but I mean, how long has the farm been there? How long have they been in this type of operation? I assume it's generations.
I would not be able to speak to that question.
Okay, all right. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, I could respond to that. When the people who are concerned about the odors bought their place and built their house, it was a relatively modest-sized dairy down the road. Since then, there's been a hog set up and this proposed directly upwind from them. So we're not really comparing apples to apples there.
Anyone else? Are we ready to vote?
I just have one comment about, like, number 4, it just says that adequate measures have been taken, but it doesn't specify what measures were taken. I know that was what Commissioner Imdek said at the same, when he brought up this concern, so.
Eric?
If it could be more specific.
This is standard language that we've seen come across our desk here time and again, correct? That measures will be or have been or will be taken? Mm-hmm. This isn't anything out of the ordinary. To Kelsey's point, this is no different than most similar types of requests that come across our desk here, correct?
Commissioner, Chair Gardner, yes, so that language there is the Planning Commission's judgment based on the record. And the record itself establishes what some of those things are, the testimony. So the type of barn, the fact that it's total confinement, the fact that it has a type of manure storage system that is not given to great odor, the fact that there are state hydrogen sulfide standards that can't be, I'm not aware of ever a facility like this that would even approach state hydrogen sulfide standards at property line, that kind of thing. So it's those types of things that are in the record. So the record stands, and the Planning Commission generally, doesn't incorporate all those things in the text of the finding, but it references back to it. Is that helpful at all? Or?
But it doesn't really cite it. I mean, in these findings, it isn't really cited. This is why the measures have, why we believe that the measures have been taken. It doesn't really, you know, I know they talk about it up here, but there's nothing.
And that's
You're not
typical of
citing
our
any
findings. So all of the other findings that you've approved since I've been here would have been typical. So this is not atypical of the findings that we would have and adopt. If you would like those findings amended to include more detail, that's certainly part of the direction I'm hearing from the board. If this motion were to pass, that would be part of what I would ask of the planning commission.
And just to play the tape all the way through, so if this does get remanded back to the planning commission, there is not a new public hearing, correct? You're going based upon the record that was created at the original public hearing?
Well, I would say if the board asked for another public hearing, we would open the record. If the board is asking for a reconsideration based on the record as it is, that would be, and that's what I'm not heard asked for another public hearing. So we would
No,
proceed to go back.
I'm not asking for one. I'm wanting to make sure that we understand what the process actually is.
And I was just noting that if the board wanted it, they would have to ask for it. So you're right, and maybe I said more in response there than I should have. As it stands, I'm understanding, we would go back with the record as it is. They would continue discussion in some of these particular areas around finding number 1 and 4, as I'm hearing, and add some specificity to their conclusions. And that discussion may or may not change how they view some conditions or that. I mean, that would remain to be seen.
And then I'll ask Attorney Baker if he sees any issues with a second public hearing on a matter like this.
I mean, I suppose it can be done, but
Point of order, Mr. Chair, nobody's asking for.
Nobody's
a second
asking for
public
one.
hearing.
All right, but then I want it to be clear then that we're going based upon the already established record from that original public hearing. If this is what happens. All right,
Mr. Chair,
so we, go ahead.
just one more last comment. All I'm asking is that the Planning and Zoning Committee look at this again and report back to us as soon as possible. I don't want to blow this too out of proportion. I'm not asking for a vote to turn this down at this point at all, but I'd like to see that reviewed.
All right, are we ready to vote? Is a motion made and seconded to remand this matter back to the Planning Commission? Roll call. Commissioner Berg?
Aye.
Chair votes no. Commissioner Anderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Emdeck?
Aye.
3 ayes, 1 nay. The matter is remanded back to the Planning Commission. And you have one more item for us.
oh, before we go that, how would you word the motion to extend the time for an additional 60 days?
Sorry about that.
So that can just be done administratively.
Okay.
And so I will send notice to the applicant that we are extending.
All right, and then you can continue with the next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next action item before you is a final plat. This final plat comes recommended from the Planning Commission. This is a property, some of which has historically been developed in recent times, and some of it that has sat open for a good number of years. Had I believe, an old campground on it many, many years ago. This land is kind of where the old mill dam is coming through there. It's just immediately west and north of that. It borders on the waters of Nest Lake. And the final plat is the completion of a process that the board has had some say in already. You may recall that back in February, the board approved a conditional use permit for a planned unit development. So planned unit development is a kind of a clustered type of development that allows some density multipliers and it preserves open space. It pushes people back a little bit further from the water. It does a few things in exchange, you could say. The developer gets a few things and then developer's asked to give a few things back to the public. And subsequent to the conditional use permit hearing, we came to board for that approval, and also the Planning Commission held a public hearing on the preliminary plat for the nest. And along the way, this is an area that is sewered or within the district. This property itself has not had the sewer infrastructure that it needs. That we've been working with Corey Smith, the Glacial Lakes Sanitary Sewer and Water District Administrator, throughout the process. It may be interesting for you to note that you will, should you act on this today, and you will see this name come up again because there's a development agreement that that Glacial Lakes requires for the design there that is about, I would say, 90% complete as of today, according to Corey. So that developer's agreement will come through the Glacial Lakes Board, and then it'll come back, it will actually come to you. So you've been involved early, and this is kind of middle late, and then you will still have involvement down the road should this continue to move forward. So the proposal here is to approve the final plat as you have in your packet. I will make note that there's some easements that the council and surveyor for the applicant had originally missed, and those were brought to our attention. Those have been included on the map that's in your packet. There is one area of one of those that overlaps with Unit 6. And I've spoken with Corey Smith about that. That's actually an easement to the county. And Corey says that that is not necessary and will be superseded by the new easement. The other thing to note is that new easements are not shown on this plat, and that's not an oversight, that's by design, because CIC plats, or common interest community plats, do not establish easements. They can't by statute. They fall under a different type of platting requirement than does just a typical, most of the historical plats that you'd associate with development in the county. So because of that, new proposed easements will be layered on top as written easements and recorded after the fact. So I have also been in regular communication with Public Works Director, who the first time we talked, there was concern about, you may recall, in your conditional use permit, there was a condition around potential for human remains. I think we all know that there have been places around Green Lake where Indian encampments and Indian burials have been a concern, and this property had some specific attention drawn to it. So from that point on, we've been working with the Public Works Director on where does the road come out, who permits the access, is he comfortable with the development pattern, et cetera. So with those notes, I would make one final note, and that is that there has been a fair amount of discussion at various levels in the community, back and forth into my office, around with various, I had opportunity to speak with the council from the Middle Fork Crow River Watershed District the other day about some concerns that the Watershed District was hearing, and having to do with stormwater. And so I want to highlight that when you originally approved the conditional use permit, stormwater requirements were addressed under that conditional use permit in referencing the state permitting required here and holding them to that. So that is the preferred method in this development that the Planning Commission and previously the County Board has approved. So that's maybe a little more history there than I typically give, but I know you've probably been hearing some things, and I wanted to be able to try to address a few of those things on the front end, and certainly I would open myself to any questions or clarifications that you might have. So the recommendation from the Planning Commission and staff is to approve the final plat as presented.
Eric, I just wanted to say that I know that at least several, if not all of us, have been in receipt of some of those comments surrounding the stormwater, and they are not part of the record per se, but there is at least a part of that that gives me some pause personally in terms of process and how we do or don't get or solicit feedback from various other stakeholders who might have concerns in this area. But that's what I had to say, and that's it. Anyone else? Any questions, comments for Eric? Commissioner Indeck.
Yeah, I just want to make sure there was some indication that there was some questions regarding the ordinances. Have those questions been addressed?
Well, it depends on what you mean by address, so.
Well, if I may, it seems like someone has indicated that we have gone afoul of our own ordinances in this process, and so I just want to make sure that those questions have been answered.
Internally, they have been answered. They have not been answered externally, if that's what you're referring to. So I have consulted with County Attorney Baker, and we have discussed some of the things that have been, I want to choose the right word here. Some of the things that have been circulated, if that's maybe the right word, and some of those areas of law are maybe misunderstandings. Some of those are different areas of law that aren't applicable. So I'll just use one example. I read comments that said that there is a engineer sign off on the road that is required. That's a misunderstanding because that deals with areas when we're dedicating a public road. And so that's not an applicable requirement here because we have a private drive and it's not held to standards. It's not reviewed and approved by the county engineer in that way. So that's one example to say that, yes, we have gone through what we have seen as concerns expressed. I have talked them over with County Attorney Baker. Further than that, I do know John Kolb quite well, who is attorney for the Middle Fork Crow River Watershed District. And he and I went through a lot of this stuff together. He happens to be someone I know quite well and have worked with quite a bit because the Watershed District had come forward with some concerns. And I would quickly, if I may, quickly spin that into Chair Gardner's concern about soliciting comment. If you could have seen the mailing list that was sent out for this, it's 3 pages of print about that big and includes all partners above and beyond what the law requires, including the Middle Fork Crow River Watershed District, including Department of Natural Resources, and so our professional partners, landowners up and down for both hearings, so 2 hearings on the matter. So I'm not sure where there would be an identifiable deficiency in the process that we've followed to solicit feedback. There had been some that it would have liked to comment at the final plat level. That is not, and we cannot accept there because our ordinance specifically says that there is no public hearing at the final plat. A final plat is not kind of a, hey, let's look at all this afresh. A final plat says, we've looked at it. We believe this is responsible and has met the standards. go finalize things and now put your, the cleaned up layout, as it were, gets its last stamp of approval. We don't get to final plats typically and kind of reopen the whole consideration of it. That's not how final plats would generally proceed, so.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner,
And I will acknowledge and take full responsibility for that misunderstanding because I was asked in a text message whether or not there would be a public hearing and I'm, got about a year and a half or a little less than that on this, on planning and zoning and don't know the depth of all the ordinances, nor am I an attorney. And I had never been to a planning and zoning meeting where there wasn't public testimony. And so I mistakenly said that, and I apologize to those that understood it that way. But to carry on this questions that you invited us to ask, has there been an engineer involved with the planning of this development?
Yeah, Bolton and Mink is the local engineer for the applicant, working on all their design for water sewer, their private drive, stormwater, and state stormwater permitting. So they do have an engineer engaged and working on those technical aspects.
Thank you. Let me continue. And I asked you at the planning and zoning meeting that the boxes that need to be checked for them to move forward, whether it's MPCA or any of the other agencies, watershed, who would be responsible for that overall oversight regarding checking the boxes and everything being done? And could you reply to that again?
So when it comes to things that the county has required, oversight of this development, myself, the zoning administrator, would be responsible for that.
So it seems like the biggest concern here is stormwater management. And I understand that there are two stormwater inlets that are involved. Is that correct?
Well, adjacent and nearby, there might be more than that. There are several, or there is a stormwater inlet on the property in one location. Not all or even majority of the property would necessarily go to that. Probably what that takes is the majority of the parking lot from the adjacent church.
And I just want to be clear, there is no additional stormwater runoff that will be added to the system. Is that, I mean?
Well, all development adds some. I mean, every house we permit, adds some. We permit bigger houses. We hold properties to a standard of coverage. And so this property is subject to that as well. And so anything we build that's impervious does add some. The state in their construction stormwater permitting at certain levels, which this application will cross, this development will cross, does begin to require permanent on-site storage. And so their exact formula for that, I don't have because I'm not an engineer, and that isn't that isn't something that we would get involved in the calculations of, but they will prove that out to the state and follow the state's requirements for that.
And currently, all the stormwater from that property, and most likely all the adjacent property, is entering either Nest Lake or Green Lake. And if it enters Nest Lake, it ultimately enters Green Lake. So now it's going there. It might take a while to get there because it percolates first, but, the runoff gets there.
So certainly there are existing structures there, some of which will be replaced, one of which is staying. So those properties we're shedding off water at, a rate that's commensurate with a property that has some development. The rest of the property, all properties do run some off. There's really no soil that takes up, unless you're really just sitting in an open gravel pit, there's no property that probably takes up all rainwater. And yes, they would be directly or indirectly going into Green and Nest Lakes historically. One of the real benefits of this type of development is that it moves the potential homes further away from the lake, so there is greater filtration than you would typically see. So a standard lot and block development that doesn't go through this gets to build closer to the lake. And of course, the closer you are, the less vegetation and land area there is for runoff to go across before it potentially enters water. Another one that I would note to you that you may recall in the conditional use permit approval, the landowner agreed to and is required to establish native vegetation in the shore impact zone on the eastern side of the property as it gets near the channel there. So the benefit there is that native vegetations which were removed many years ago before this landowner had purchased it. The native vegetation does a lot better job of holding back water and infiltrating, causing it to infiltrate. So there's some really nice features of a development like this and the way that this development has been improved through the conditional use permit process that can give some added confidence.
Thank you.
Eric, you mentioned probably about 5 or 8 minutes ago that the Middle Fork District had expressed to you some concerns surrounding the stormwater. Would you care to characterize what those concerns were?
Well, the most recent, I would say, were fairly generalized concerns. I mean, Middle Fork is a organization that, I mean, their whole focus is on water quality, right? So I think it's natural that an organization like that would have overall concerns. Anytime there's development there, they probably have some concerns. I've spoken with Andy a couple times. Some of it, I think, was maybe confusion over process, like how do we make certain judgments that we do. The stormwater requirements in our subdivision ordinance, first thing to note is that they're not obligatory, they're permissive. In other words, they allow, the language of it allows the zoning administrator to require certain things in certain situations. And so it has a built-in judgment there. And in this case, there was no desire to say stormwater controls or stormwater concerns shouldn't be addressed at all. The path chosen was, let's look at it through the CUP process, which we have that's running parallel here. And so some of that, I think, was the Middle Fork Crow River Watershed District hearing things from the citizenry that maybe was not agreeing with that judgment or that path. That's a different perspective, and certainly the public will have different perspectives on judgments that are made. And I've had a chance to talk to Andy about some of how we arrived at some of those conclusions. So that would be how I would characterize the concerns as they've come to me from the Middle Fork.
And in those concerns being expressed, was there any concerned as to whether or not MPCA would in fact act upon
I did not hear
managing the stormwater?
I did not hear that. And so a couple things I'm doing and will do to make sure that they will act upon it is that I've already told the applicant that, reminded them that no development occurs until that permit is in hand, and that I want to see that. I've requested a copy of it. Thankfully, interestingly, you also have an example nearby that followed this exact same pattern. It's on the same lake. It's the same type of development. It's at Castle Shores. It's mostly built out now. You probably have, I imagine most of you have been by it at some point. We did the same exact approval with that. There was never any concern there from the public or from the watershed district. And I know for a fact, and I was involved in several checks on the stormwater controls during the process. I know the state inspector was out there on site, and I was in regular contact with the developer during that process as well. So that is if you want to kind of look at a recent point in time and a near geographic example, that would be a good comparative for the board.
Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In comparing them, this is approximately, what, 3 acres, I understand, this property here. The one you said we should compare it to, how large of an acreage was that, as well as how many units did that have compared to how many units are here?
That was a little smaller. That one actually just bumped the 3-acre threshold. This one, when some additional land was added, is closer to 5.
Really? Okay.
And so the units there, I'm gonna test my memory.
Just a
It's
guess.
either 11 or 12, I believe.
Okay.
So it's a little bit less because they have a little less acreage there. Most of those are built out. I think they have 2 units to sell. The back units, as you can imagine, don't necessarily sell quite as quickly. But, so a little bit smaller development, but many, many similarities to this. They also had a vegetative management agreement, et cetera. So quite a bit of overlap in it.
Mr. Chair. Thank you. And thank you for clarifying that, because my perception is kind of different of that. But you look at the properties, and they're different properties in a sense. One's got more hills than the other one or whatever. And so it seemed like a larger area and pure housing options there. But before we go, I just want to make a point that it's important we cross our Ts and dot our Is on all these projects that we get involved in here. But it's also, I do want to recognize and I appreciate, and hopefully the contractors and the people building these facilities and doing these things, that we do value what they're doing, and we're not trying to make it complicated for them. And I appreciate their interest. We do need housing, and we need all kinds of housing, and I appreciate that this is being built. And the question is, how is it going to work? We want it to make it work, and we don't have an issue coming down the road. And just kind of revisiting several of the other things, and some of the things we passed last time, and I am no expert neither as far as planning and zoning, but help me with this. So the stormwater thing is, you're saying this is, even though we're addressing the contractors building stormwater issues plan, but there's going to be a similar plan, and that is to come, and is Bowden Mink's engineer information, is that public record? Is that available if somebody has a concern about that? Of drainage and that type of thing, stormwater?
Thank you, Commissioner Berg. So to the extent that the applicant is applying for a state permit, I believe that data practices would dictate that those submittals under that permit would be public record, similar to submittals under our permitting authority.
Well, that is available at this point, if somebody wanted to find out more of what it's going to be like, for whatever reason. Those are questions that have been brought up to me. Also, the major concern is the quality of the water as well. So, and I think we addressed this last time about the streets and so forth going through there. So is that a done deal? Has anything been changed there? I think one of the concerns was, my concern was about the fire trucks. Can they even get in there? Because the original plat that we saw, it was hard to understand, and how a big fire truck could even turn around in there. Has that been already decided upon, and we can't revisit that at all?
Well, so the ordinance does dictate that we reach out and consult with the fire chief, and I have contacted their office. They did not provide any comment on the design. So that was similar to what we received on the on Castle Shores as well. Yeah. So we do make that contact.
That's a 20-foot road, but there's no on-street parking, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Commissioner Imdek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This has probably been the longest you've stood at the podium in my history for two planning considerations. I just hope you understand, and everybody understands, that we take our responsibility serious here. And at the same time, to Commissioner Berg's point, is that we have to reach a balance between development and progress and maintaining the quality of the water. And that's why all these questions are being asked, and that's why, you know, we have that expectations of the developer. So with that, I am going to move on this recommendation for planning and zoning to accept this final plat.
There is a motion to accept the recommendation of staff in regard to this plat. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one more final question, and that's to Candido County Attorney, Mr. Baker. And I think it was fairly clear, but you're saying legally, everything that's been presented is legally correct moving forward with this?
I was satisfied with what Mr. Van Dyken provided me.
All right, anyone else? All right, hearing nothing further, all those in favor of approval of the final plat signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are at this time at administrative updates, and did anyone have anything that we needed to cover under that? I have one item very briefly. Is that, and I think folks should have just seen that this morning, that we have a West Central Mental Health Housing meeting on Thursday at 1 p.m. that we all need to be there so that we can make the handoff to the new board.
This Thursday?
This Thursday. Yeah, it just came out. We will at least need a quorum of this body to
What time?
make that handoff, 1 p.m. at Woodland.
I think it threaded a needle, thank you. I did think of something else too, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And the administrator probably is aware of this, maybe it's in your report, but I attended the North Fork Watershed District meeting last night, and Supervisor, or what are they called over there? Manager Brockler brought it to our attention that he is up for renewal, and he had sent a letter in, and so that appointment needs to be made. I think it was due in May, but if we get our first meeting in May, I think we're probably okay, because I don't believe they meet until the second week of May.
So we'll be looking at that for our next meeting agenda, yes. Okay. Anyone else?
I do.
Administrator Baker.
I wanted to say this before Commissioner M. Dyke leaves. The 16-bed, all the final closing documents have been done. We were able to get the Wells Fargo to release the termination letter, so we have that, all of the documents signed, notarized. And so the final transfer and final closing should happen today. Then I will sign a 45-day amendment termination agreement so that we can do any reconciliations up until April 30th. I've spoken with Karen Anderson, Andy Thorson, Shane Baker. I've worked with QTAC Rock, Jenny Bolton. She did a lot of work with us with broadband agreements back in the day. And so I've worked with her on some bond counsel information and the warranty deed. But this really took a village to get this all done. I don't know if we ever would have thought it would have taken this long, starting in August. It was a lot of work. I will say that, a lot of administrative work on my end, Andy's end and Karen's end, but it was a village, it was a team effort. And so I'm happy to report the closing will happen today. And then I can provide a later report if needed. But I just wanted to let everybody know that.
All right. Thank you for that. We do actually have Austin Hillbrands here, and he has something that he wants to present to us. But we had talked previously, and now, of course, all that time that we saved earlier is gone. And we had scheduled a work session for after this meeting. Commissioner Imdek, I know, has a hard stop at 12:30 today, and this is kind of your thing that you've wanted us to kind of complete in regards to the subject of board operating guidelines or procedures. So I'm going to ask the board if we want to consider rescheduling that work session, as hateful as it is. Commissioner Imdek.
I would greatly appreciate that, because As we left our last meeting, and I know everybody's busy, but I was hoping that we could get that draft that we got in our packet this time. I was hoping that we could have gotten that shortly after that last meeting, so we had time to go through it all. So if we would reschedule, that would give us an opportunity to, because both Friday and yesterday, my day was from morning till night, so I haven't had a chance to look at it. And,
Understood. And there was some delay in that was, I'll actually take responsibility for, because I was asked to.
You're retired, man.
Do some proofreading, which is something I used to do in a previous life. And just, look for formatting and various things, and I was slow to the ball on that. And so for that, I apologize. I know that
If we're gonna reschedule, then I want all the input sent back to Kelsey and Steve, and then we're gonna approve it at the next meeting. That we've wasted way too much time on this, and there's no reason that we can't look through it. I look through it, send your comments to them, so when we come back, we don't spend another 2 hours going through this. It's just foolishness.
well noted. Does that sound like a fair process for everybody? All right, hearing no objection to that, then we'll have.
Well, yeah, I think this is still a work session at this point. Going through it with don't want to.
Yeah, well, it'll still be a work session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you said during the regular meeting?
No.
Oh, okay.
I knew.
Just like this time. Okay, I did not know what you.
And so let's have Melissa send out a doodle poll to figure out when we can get everybody together, and apologize to the media for having to do this, but we've just simply run up against it today.
Can't we just?
Commissioner Berg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can't we just do like we did this time? Maybe the next meeting or the meeting after, it looks like a shorter agenda. Just add it
We don't
over
have
the
short
Zoom?
agendas coming up right now. That's-
Okay.
That's kind of the issue.
May 6th, we've already planned the budget work session. I've planned
Oh,
that
that's
with
right,
staff.
yes.
It's been requested to by the board, so I want to make sure we get that done.
Okay.
And then the May 20th is a Health and Human Services work session that's already been kind of reworked. So it would be looking at an off week in May, or it would be looking at that first meeting in June. We could do a work session following that board meeting.
Commissioner Ende.
And I want to thank the entire staff and board for their consideration here. I think the doodle poll is the way to go on that. And I know that Commissioner Anderson, Dale Anderson, is going to be hopefully in the field soon. And so we'll take that into consideration too. But I don't consider this a waste of time, and I don't consider this something that we have to rush into. We want to make sure that we get it right for us and for future commissioners.
That's fair enough. All right, at this time then, we'll continue with having Austin Hilbrands come up, 2024 Public Drainage Inspection Reports.
Sorry, I didn't.
Are we gonna have the noxious one first, or the?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Austin.
Hold on, Austin, it's gonna give that a second.
Okay. While that goes, we could maybe run through the
Yep, go ahead.
noxious
I'll make
weed.
sure.
Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. Austin Hilbrands, Drainage Manager, Ag Inspector. Got two things for you today. First thing we'll go through is the 2025 Noxious Weed Appeals Committee. That's gonna be a
Yeah,
resolution.
I apologize, I missed that one, so go ahead.
Sure, yeah. That's resolution 2025-12. So Minnesota statute, section 1883, subdivision 3 requires the county board to appoint a noxious weed appeals committee. The noxious weed appeals committee would consist of three regular members and a list of alternate members. The noxious weed appeals committee is there for landowners of Candiac County. if the county ag inspector or local noxious weed inspectors, which would be the township supervisors or city mayors, sends a notice, inspector notice number 1, that's to control, eradicate noxious weeds on their property. Within 2 days, that landowner could appeal that decision, appeal that to this noxious weed appeal committee, and that would that would then trigger this appeals committee to have to go there within 5 days to decide if the noxious weed that needs to be controlled or eradicated is valid, and then agrees with either the county ag inspector or the local weed inspector. If not, then that notice dies. So, if they do agree with the county ag inspector or the local noxious weed inspector, then we would move on to that enforcement, the next enforcement step. So, any questions on the noxious weed appeals committee?
Commissioner Berglund.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, I'll move to approve resolution number 2512. Which you have.
There's a motion to approve the recommendation to move forward Resolution 2025-12. I will second.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chair?
You may now.
Yeah, so Commissioner Imdek brought this up. Dwayne Underthun, is he still around, or?
Yeah, I was wondering about too.
That's a great question. I did not call him this year, so.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, so we might have to appoint somebody
I'll
else.
point
or-
that one different.
Okay,
Did
'cause
he
he's no
pass away?
longer township.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I know
Oh.
he's resigned from the township recently and.
Yeah, but he
and-
said he would let me know whenever he didn't want to be
Oh,
on it.
oh,
again, so,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry. Miss-
All right, any further questions?
Yeah, so again, this does not, just because they're not on the township, it just, they're residents of Candioi County,
Okay.
so.
So we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2025-12. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Thank you. Austin, go ahead with your other item of business.
Perfect. So we're gonna go through the 2024 drainage systems inspections. Did the computer work?
But we have it, so.
You have it available, okay. Okay. So we will start there. So these inspections took place last year in 2024 from May all the way through October. By statute, we're required to do drainage inspections a minimum every 5 years on open ditch systems. We also look at tiles down intakes whenever they're available, of course. We are required to document repairs and buffer violations under 103-705. That's gonna be our repair statute and then this inspection statute, so. I also include noxious weed areas, tree spray areas, and other issues categories. So if you look at the first page, or the first overview map, that kind of shows where these inspections took place this year. The majority of it was on the western side of the county. I plan to break the county into thirds, basically. I know it says we have to do them every 5 years, because 2024 is my first full year in Candioi County. I want to get everything done in 3 years. And then we would probably, move back to that 5-year rotation, so. Just looking at the overview map, if you still have that pulled up in front of you, the blue lines are gonna be county ditches, the purple lines are gonna be our joint judicial ditches. We have all the repair points that were found on inspection. I have them in a category just for me to keep track of. Awaiting, seed, invoice, done, and cancel. The red dots are gonna be private outlet pipes that need to be replaced. I basically send those people a letter. If they're still there within 5 years, then we would have to look into doing some other way to enforce that. Red lines on there are gonna be our buffer violations. Yellow lines on there that aren't the city limits, they're gonna be noxious weed areas. That's just for me as the county ag inspector to keep track of. We got tree spray areas, and then there's a different shade of green for other issues, so. So that's kind of the overview map. If we can go to the stats page now, the next page. That's gonna be, we have 32 systems that were inspected, about 201 miles. We found 118 repairs on inspection. that lists the repairs, the different categories I put them in, just for tracking. There was 18.75 miles of buffer violations. Like I said, 16 private outlet pipes. Those would be the red dots on the map. And the next inspection year is gonna be 2029.
Austin, I did communicate with you in advance of the meeting on this, and there's a little over 9% of the miles that you had covered where there are documented buffer violations.
Yep.
And I had asked you about a specific property owner who had several miles of this, but you'd indicated that you're working with them and they're going to take care of this. And are you finding a desire to comply?
Yes, I think so. We have a good, with
remaining.
the specific landowner you're talking about, I have a good working relationship with them. And they plan to comply, they plan to rent a drill to take care of their specific issues. Most of theirs, so when we get into this, we'll talk about the two different ways we can enforce buffers. Majority of his are on buffers that we actually own the easement on. He has a few rental properties that were ran through the buffer ordinance. So there's two different ways, but the ones that we actually have the physical easement on, they've all been staked, so he knows right where 16.5 feet is. I did that last week, so, for him, so.
Okay.
And actually for everybody that we have the easement for, so.
And then you anticipate compliance from everyone else as
I
well?
anticipated compliance, and then they'll be inspected again after July 1st is the deadline. They have to have those put in, and I will go over that a little bit further into this. After July 1st, if it's not put in, we come back to the actual drainage authority for each specific ditch system. And if it's under that 103 East 705 statute where we have the easement, we can go in and plant that for them and put it on their taxes. But I do believe there's gonna be voluntary compliance for most of these. And I've
That
received
would be
phone calls
preferable.
from several people already, so.
Okay, thank you. Continue.
Okay. I just also want to point out, these were done in May through October last year, so stuff has changed. We did have record rainfall last year, and I would argue we had record grass height when I do these inspections. I'm driving along on the four-wheeler, and you do miss some things. So, I mean, if any landowners are listening to this and they have other issues, feel free to give me a call, and we can definitely address that, so. Also, the winter, anytime, during winter, we also get different areas that slough off and stuff like that, so. What I found is that once I get through these initial inspections, my workload essentially will be less coming and we keep on top of this. It makes it a lot easier to keep these ditches looking nice and functioning properly, so. We'll just go to the next one here. That's gonna be County District 7. I'm not gonna go through all of these, but we'll skip.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. I just want to give you just kind of the base on how these are set up. So you got your drainage system, the inspection date, the next inspection year, who it was inspected by, your commissioner district. So County District 7 is all in District 5 right now. After redetermination, though, this one will end up being in 3 as well. So but as of the inspection date, that's whose district that has benefited watershed paying for it. So, and this was done by foot and ATV. And also, this one wasn't done by drone, but pickup and drone are listed. So basically, you would look at your repairs, they're listed there. And the repair number, if you look at the next page on the map, you can reference the repair number on the map to see where things are, so. There was some noxious weeds present on this system, no buffer non-compliances, no tree spray areas, no other issues. I don't have a good way to get to the next one, but I was planning to go to County Ditch 10, so you're gonna have to scroll down a little ways.
Got it. Age,
Unfortunately, they're all individual inspections, so I don't have a.
page 8 in our packet, I think.
9 on mine.
9, yeah, the other 8.
Well, that's where the photo is.
Yeah, sorry, we had
8
intentions
3/4.
of doing it on the computer for you guys.
And I teased you a little bit about not going through the whole thing because your report is about 40% of our packet today.
Sure, yep. So County Ditch 10, I just want to point out that's in all of your commissioner districts. It affects the city of Wilmer, Eagle Lake. It affects County Ditch 12 that goes into District 3. So a lot of these repairs, we actually do right away in the fall. 24-150, that is gonna be a larger corner, that we will plan to do. And I hope to work with Hot Creek Watershed to get funding for stream barbs to go around that corner. So if you look at the map on the next page, that's gonna be, closer to Highway 23 and Section 3 of Edwards Township, so. But how would you guys like me, would you like me to go through just some ones that I wanna point out, or?
Oh, yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
sounds good. So we would keep going ahead.
County Ditch 10.
We would keep going ahead to County Ditch 27. We'll just skip ahead to that one. So County Ditch 27 is gonna be up in Arctander Township. There's several repairs that we found on this system. This system, I do believe needs, this one is gonna be next on my list for redetermination of benefits. So you can see all the repairs listed. If you take a look at the map, and you look at 24-100, that's gonna be in section 12 on the east side of the map, or on the right side of the map. From where it drops from County Road 1 down to the lake bottom, there's several corners that need to be repaired. So this will be one that I need the redetermination to be done before I can start to do these repairs through that section. Actually, all of them that I have listed, I would like to wait till after redetermination.
Was that one on our tour last year?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
So
Oh, yeah.
you can see the several buffer violations, so if you look at the buffer violations, go back, and it says enforcement option. We got Candido County buffer ordinance. These ones ran through the buffer ordinance through the SWCD, so.
Okay.
Same thing so the buffer ordinance and the other statute where we have the easement, both have a deadline of June 31st or July 1st, one of the two, so. And they've all been sent letters to put those buffers in, so. The next one I would like to, we'll skip County Ditch 29, we go to County Ditch 31. This is our second largest system. Yep, second largest system there. So we have several, if you see outlet pipe listed, these are for county tile outlet pipes only, so. And then it lists the sizes. Again, we reference all these numbers back to the maps, several buffer violations. These buffer violations will be ran through the buffer ordinances, or no, buffer easements that we already have on the system, so. Some other issues, here's one with some other issues. There's just fences that I can't get through that are in the buffer strip. Technically, they'd probably be grandfathered in. I just like to mark them so that my tree sprayers know that they can't get through there, they're gonna have to come all the way back out, et cetera, so. And then there's a few different areas that with equipment blocking the buffer strip, so. Any questions so far?
Austin, on that, Mr. Chair, sorry about that.
Commissioner Anderson.
On the buffer violations, I guess the only thing that I'm curious about, and it's not your fault, I'm not saying that, but, I mean, most people had to have them buffer things put in 5-10 years ago. So how did these get missed for so many years, or how did that happen, I guess?
That's a great question. I don't know, I don't know that I have a good answer for you. Generally, the Soil and Water does the inspections for the buffer ordinance. And they do usually catch quite a few of them. Generally, a lot of these are gonna be further back where nobody can see. And I believe most of their inspections are done by the road or desktop on the imagery, actually, so. Yeah, that'd be my guess. A lot of them, too, sometimes the farmer, just eventually ends up spraying it and, they lose a foot every year and all of a sudden we don't have anything. Generally, the ones that I mark, again, they all have to be put at 16.5 feet. But if I can't comfortably drive my four-wheeler down it, it's too short, so.
Yeah.
But, so, let's see, the next one I'd like you to go to is County Ditch 40, so it's gonna be two more down. So County Ditch 40 is an all-tile system. We did have some landowner complaints about the tile not working out there. It was on the inspection list, so I did the inspection at that point. So there's large portions of the county tile that are plugged with tree roots, grass roots, and mud. And we need to replace this from Highway 71, basically northwest if you look at the map. We did have a landowners meeting on this one, and I kind of laid out options for the landowners on different options we would have. we elected to go plowing flexible dual wall all the way. That way we only have a gap every 525 feet. That tree roots will cement those gaps or joints, and tree roots won't be able to get into the tile anymore, essentially fixing this one, so. That'll be a bigger project coming this spring here, so.
And that's not very deep either, is it?
No, it should be majority less than 5 feet, so they won't have to subcut. It'll all be done by plow. It should take them.
That's one reason why you've had problems with it. So.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Especially with the grass roots even, you don't see that too often. But these old cement tiles, if there's put grass on top, we get tree roots in there, or grass roots in there as well as tree roots, so. The next one, I'll skip ahead to, is a ways down. I mean, a lot of these don't have much. If you skip ahead to like JD2, I should have printed the one that is in your packet that got numbered, but that's all right.
No, we're getting it.
See, on JD2, this is gonna be the start of all the joint systems. So the joint systems, I just wanna point out that I only inspect the Candido County portion unless I see something further downstream into the neighboring counties. Then I have the right to go inspect those ditch systems, but that's how we set this up, with the neighboring counties, that we all inspect our own stuff, so. Yeah, there's nothing too exciting going on with JD2. If we wanna go to JD18, should be the last one I just wanna go over with you guys. And they're all in order, so keep going. I'll get there eventually here. So JD18 we share with Chippewa County and Swift County. And if you remember, some of you maybe, or I guess Commissioner Dale Anderson was the only one on the joint board for Swift County. They did a large water control structure in Chippewa County, so this system was short on money. So we didn't start any of these repairs yet. But coming up here, these are several large corners were found that needs riprap. And then I would probably work with Soil and Water to see if there's a cost share for stream barbs. If there isn't, we would just do riprap. But stream barbs basically help, they're cement pillars basically put in the water strategically to help slow that water down right as it hits the riprap. And that helps guide the water around the corner, so. But these are the main ones that are gonna have, future bills coming in the future here, so, that I just went through now, so. Any
questions for us? Well, it looks like you had a lot of time on that four-wheeler. I don't envy you on that.
It's fun for like the first month maybe or something.
Commissioner Burke.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. I remember when you first took this position. How do I phrase it? You have really grown in this position. You're doing an excellent job, and this is laid out so well. So we went through it really fast. I took my time earlier on and looked at it, and as Commissioner Gardner said, you had me really busy. Well done.
Yep. Perfect, thank you.
If I could add to that, Mr. Chair.
You may.
You're doing a fantastic job. That's my opinion, so.
All right, and so this is an action item, and we are the action is to accept the 2024 public drainage inspection reports.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank
I'll
you.
second it.
We have a motion and a second to accept the reports. Any further comments, discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Austin, thanks for your flexibility on this. We appreciate it.
No problem.
We are down to administrative updates. Did you have anything beyond what you gave previously? Okay. Appointments, calendars, committee reports. Anyone have anything that they wish to bring forward today?
Nothing that's that urgent that.
Yeah, I didn't have anything that was.
Things to say, but inform you, but no, because of the time frame, I have nothing to say.
Be meeting with Representative Baker on Thursday morning, so try to have a conversation there. Does anyone, we took care of it all, yes? Yes. Does anyone else have anything for the good of the order? If not, then we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.